Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto wielder of Samehada Chunin exam. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Kagami1228, and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1 Prologue. Naruto. Naruto. You get back here! Shouted a woman out the door as a boy went running out of it ahead of her. About 30 seconds later, a swirl of water began to form next to the woman. The woman turned her head back as she looked at the man now standing behind her. The man was short, no taller than 4 foot 10 inches tall. Despite his childlike stature, he was an adult male around 30 years of age with messy green hair, pink pupil-less eyes and a stitch-like scar running under his left eye all the way down his cheek. He was wearing a gray, sleeveless shirt with a forehead protector attached to the front with a short-sleeved mesh armor underneath. He also wore a green poncho along with a turquoise sash around his waist, paired with a green apron over his pants. Finishing his outfit was a pair of brown boots, and on his back he carried a staff-like pole weapon with uneven-sized hooks with a green flower on the larger end. I'm so sorry. It's a pleasure to see you here again. I'm certain you wanted to see Naruto-kun, but he always takes off like that when started the woman before being cut off by the man, when I'm around. I know. He is a shrewd and skilled boy, wouldn't you say? Said the man as the woman nodded at him. Oh yes. Naruto-kun is one of a kind. I've never seen someone of his age, with such an advanced thought process. It's really impressive, said the woman as the man nodded his head with a smile. Yes, and his potential seems limitless. But being that he doesn't want to speak to me, then please let him know that in 6 weeks' time, we shall take him to hone his shinobi abilities, for we need someone of his talents in the war eventually, especially with a sensory ability such as his. Said the man as the woman nodded her head back. Of course. I'll be sure to let him know. Is there anything else that you need? Questioned the woman as the man shook his head slightly. No, that is all. I will be on my way. Until then, please keep him safe. He is very important to our future plans, said the man before disappearing in a swirl of water, leaving the woman alone. 2 minutes later, the woman blew out a breath as she turned around to see the same boy she was yelling at before, the one she called Naruto, standing behind her. Naruto-kun. You can't keep running out on your Kage like that, said the woman as she looked at Naruto. Mother. I don't want to help him. He feels bad, said Naruto, as the woman picked Naruto up into her arms. Why can't I just stay here at the orphanage until someone adopts me? But that won't happen because since he wants me, no one can have me. Finished Naruto a little saddened at that realization. After kissing Naruto on the cheek, the woman spoke to him. Don't worry, Naruto. One day you'll grow strong enough to stop this war, and on that day, I'll be proud to know that I raised such a man, said the orphanage mother as she took a good look at Naruto. Now you go and play with the other kids, Naruto-kun, while I go make some dinner. Naruto happily nodded his head after being let down by the orphanage mother before he scampered off to play. As Naruto was running away, the orphanage mother took notice of the symbol on the back of Naruto's shirt. The symbol consisted of just a simple spiral, Uzumaki clan. Naruto is surely Kushina-sama's son. Kami rest her soul, said the orphanage mother. It's so sad to know that the Uzumaki clan got wiped out during the Third World War. I'm just glad Kushina got Naruto-kun out of there and to me before succumbing to her eventual death. The mother then took notice of Naruto's spiky, white hair that held a red tint to it. But that white hair is trademark of his father's, a Hozuki clan member if Kushina wasn't lying about that. If that is true, Naruto-kun just may become one of Mise's strongest shinobis one day. And if that's the case, I have to make sure he is on the correct side. I just must. 6 weeks later, it was around noon as a man led Naruto down a path. That man was the same man who'd come earlier to speak with him but couldn't due to Naruto running off when he arrived. It was a long goodbye for Naruto as he was leaving his home of the orphanage for the first time, and not with parents. As they were walking, the man leading Naruto attempted to converse with the 6-year-old. Well, Naruto-kun. It's finally good to meet you, said the man as he turned his head slightly to look back at Naruto. I've heard so much about you already, but have you heard of me? Do you know who I am? Naruto continued to walk with his head down and didn't seem to want to answer. The man seemed at a loss because he'd been trying to seem amicable to Naruto but just couldn't get through to him. However, that all changed when Naruto spoke up for the first time. You're Yagura-sama, the Yandere Mizukage, S-rank shinobi in the bingo books and Jinchuriki of the Sanbai, said Naruto in a quiet, composed tone unfit for a 6-year-old. It seems he really is knowledgeable. Only 6 years old. I will make him into the best shinobi possible, and with his lineage he could produce great results and eventually become my right-hand man, thought Yagura as he continued walking with Naruto following close behind. Very good, Naruto-kun. Exactly what I wanted to hear, said Yagura smiling. Now do you know what will happen? Naruto never looked up at Yagura as he spoke toward the ground once again. Training. Then I'll be helping you in the war, said Naruto as Yagura nodded again. Quite the astute one you are, Naruto-kun. I will be seeing to your training personally, In fact, I'm going to give you a gift if you prove yourself worthy, said Yugura, looking back at Naruto once more to see him pick up his head. A gift, Mizuki-sama? What would that be? Said Naruto, perking up slightly to finally look Yugura in the eyes. Those purple eyes along with that white hair. He's got the traits of a Hozuki clan member, thought Yugura before smiling at Naruto. Yes, Naruto-kun, what do you know about the 7 swords of the mist? Questioned Yugura as Naruto's eyes seemed to light up a little at Yugura mentioned a sword. The 7 swords of the mist? The 7 swords of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. Some of the greatest swords ever crafted. Is my gift one of those? Questioned Naruto excitedly as Yugura shook his head slightly. Only if your training goes as planned then you will get one. If not, then I'll have to find other options for you, my young apprentice. But for now, we will focus on making you a shinobi. One who in 4 years' time, I shall thrust into the world to compete in a Chunin exams to thoroughly find out your potential against the other aspiring Chunins of your age group, said Yugura as he looked back at Naruto. If you make Chunin, one of the swords will be yours. That is a promise from me to you. Deal? Deal, said Naruto as he and Yugura entered a circular building and made an immediate turn into a dark corridor that led to an empty room with nothing in it but one other man. The man turned around as he noticed his Kage and Naruto walking into the room. The man smiled before bowing to Yugura. Ah, Yugura-sama. It is a pleasure to see you once again. I'm assuming this is Naruto-kun? Said the man as Yugura nodded his head. Yes, Mangetsu. This is the boy with whom you and I will train. Of course, since I have other duties that will leave the bulk of the training with you, but I will drop by from time to time to give out tips to my young apprentice, said Yugura as he turned to Naruto after addressing Mangetsu. And Naruto-kun, do you know who Mangetsu is? Naruto nodded his head before answering. He hails from the Hozuki clan. One of my relatives and is also a member of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, and if the legend is true, is the only member to have ever mastered the use of all 7 swords, though Hiramakerai is his favorite and the one he uses, said Naruto, identifying said sword strapped to the back of Mangetsu. Mangetsu had shoulder-length, light-colored hair and pointed, shark-like teeth. He was wearing an outfit which consisted of a dark, sleeveless shirt, light-colored pants and striped leg warmers. Strapped to a utility belt around his waist were several water bottles. And strapped to his back by seemingly nothing was the twins' word, Hiramakerai. The entire sword had bandages around it, leaving only the double hilt showing in the back. Well, I shall leave you both to it. Today is just the introduction, Naruto-kun. Mangetsu will be your teacher, and eventually you will meet other shinobi in our ranks to learn from them as well, not to mention a few other kids who have just as much potential as you. Ja-eni, said Yugura as he disappeared in a swirl of water, leaving Mangetsu and Naruto alone in the spacious but empty room. Mangetsu smiled at the boy in front of him once Yugura left. You're not the only one with knowledge, Naruto-kun. You hail from the Hozuki clan, along with the Uzumaki clan, and I know for a fact that your orphanage mother has attempted to teach you seals along with having already accessed your chakra, which is sizable for someone of your age, not to mention your sensory ability. I don't know the distance, but if I'm to understand, you won't ever be caught off guard by anyone, even your own Kage, said Mangetsu as Naruto smiled back at the elder teen in front of him. He. I really don't like being around him, said Naruto as Mangetsu nodded his head. I understand completely, Naruto-kun. I don't like this civil war against the bloodline rebels any more than you do. I also know of a few others who despise it as well, so I'm happy to know you're on board. Your orphanage mother has told me all about it, said Mangetsu. Naruto nodded his head as he blew out a sigh. That's a relief. I thought I'd have to always fake interest in wanting to kill people from Kiri. I could never do that. I love this place. It is my home, said Naruto. And anyone from it is family to me. I don't want to kill my family, neither do I, Naruto-kun. But we'll have all the time in the world to discuss that. In the meantime, let's appease the wants of Mizuki-sama. He is on the wrong side, but he is still the most powerful man in the country. So let's get your training started, shall we? Questioned Mangetsu as Naruto nodded his head. What are we going to start with? Questioned Naruto as Mangetsu smiled a very devious, shark-like grin. Conditioning. You're going to run. A lot. But the thing is, you must do it silently. If I hear a footstep, you must do 1 push-up per footstep I hear. Now please run 1 lap around the entire room, but remember, be quiet, said Mangetsu as Naruto gulped slightly. Naruto took off in a fast, yet cautious sprint as he ran around the room. Naruto was extra careful about not making any noise, and from what he could tell, he hadn't made a peep except for his breathing, but that wasn't a footstep so it wouldn't count. Naruto eventually made it back to Mangetsu. Naruto smiled at Mangetsu with a bit of sweat beginning to form as he blew out a deep breath. How did I do, Mangetsu-sensei? Questioned Naruto as Mangetsu handed him a bottle of water. Naruto happily accepted the water as he sipped down the water through the straw. Mangetsu shook his head slightly as he told Naruto the grim news. How about this? I'll change it from every footstep to every 10 footsteps. And if we go by that, you'll have to do 22 push-ups total, said Mangetsu as Naruto's jaw dropped. Get to pushing, kid. You have 19 more laps to go, just like this. And this is only the warm-up. 1 year later. Good job, Naruto. That's only 8 push-ups this time. And for counting every 5 footsteps, that's pretty impressive. Not to mention that you're beginning to move faster as well, said Mangetsu as Naruto did his 8 push-ups before drinking out of his water bottle. The same water bottle that was given to him by Mangetsu 1 year ago. Naruto grew well in his 1 year of beginning the process of becoming a shinobi. He'd been given his own room in the large building and trained steadily over the past year. Nothing too strenuous though to not stunt his growth. Despite the non-strenuous training schedule, Naruto blossomed well and already proved he was more advanced than any shinobi of his age. Naruto already got down the 3 basic jutsu of a shinobi. Those being the henge, which allowed the user to disguise oneself as anything they can imagine. The second jutsu was the essentially useless, Bunshin no jutsu, which created copies of the users, though those copies are intangible and easily distinguished being that they don't interact with the environment. And the last technique Naruto learned was the infamous Kawarami no jutsu, which allowed the user to replace their own body with that of an object the moment an attack lands to effectively dodge said attack. Not only had Naruto learned ninjutsu, but Naruto began to learn kataos for taijutsu. Taijutsu wasn't Naruto's strongest field, but he did not lack in the department. Combined with his ever-increasing speed and physical strength, Naruto was no slouch in it despite it not being his favorite of the 3 shinobi arts. Genjutsu was where Naruto truly shined. Naruto's aptitude for genjutsu was impressive even though genjutsu was one of the more difficult arts to learn. Genjutsu was by far Naruto's favorite art, even though he hadn't learned any techniques for it. Naruto believed that even the strongest shinobis could fall victim to genjutsu and as such, he was going to become a master at it. Naruto didn't forget about his sealing work though. Thanks to the many books his mother passed on with him to the orphanage, he'd been delving into them after training due to his confinement in his room, having not seen the outside world for over a year. So reading was basically the only thing he could do, and in doing such, he read about seals. Naruto had begun to perfect his calligraphy due to that being the first step in his mother's book that he'd have to do. Mangetsu was proud of his young student as he watched him finish his last push-up and down another bottle of water. Mangetsu then sent Naruto around on his last lap as he thought about him. Naruto's progressed so well, and so fast. To think someone, only a year into training, is already miles above everyone else in this facility who's been here 2 years longer than him. I'm just scared to know how Naruto will take his first time hunting rebels. Mizukage-sama said he wanted to personally take Naruto out to find some in a year's time. Naruto seems too gentle to want to kill anyone, let alone someone of his village. We'll see how it goes. Maybe this year, I'll find out what his elements are. Actually, today, thought Mangetsu as Naruto came speeding to a stop in front of him. Looks like I'll have to bump up the ante. I only heard 34 footsteps this time. So how about a push-up for every other step, meaning you'll have to do 17, said Mangetsu as Naruto nodded his head without hesitation before dropping down to do his 17 push-ups. Naruto and Mangetsu had grown close over the past year, to the point that Mangetsu felt that Naruto was his younger brother, especially considering that he was 11 years older than the young Hozuki clan member. Mangetsu actually had his own younger brother named Suigetsu, who was born just last year, making them nearly 17 years apart. But that was besides the point. Mangetsu had already connected with Naruto and readily identified him as his Otoro, little brother, since Naruto had taken to calling him his Anai-san brother. Naruto finished his push-ups as he took a deep sip from his water bottle. Mangetsu told Naruto that being a Hozuki clan member meant always being hydrated, and Naruto made sure that he always replenished the water he lost as soon as possible. So Anai-san, what are we going to do today? More chakra control? Shuriken and kunai training? Questioned Naruto as Mangetsu shook his head slightly. No, Naruto-kun. Today, we'll work on something special. What can you tell me about nature transformation? Questioned Mangetsu. Naruto paused for a second before he figured it out. It's a higher form of chakra control. It's the molding of one's chakra into a form of nature or element, and there are 5 basic elements. Those being earth, water, fire, wind, and lightning. Each chakra in nature has its strengths and weaknesses and are the building blocks of all elemental ninjutsu. Are we learning my elements today? Started Naruto before questioning Mangetsu excitedly at the last part. Mangetsu pulled out a bowl of water as he nodded at Naruto. Correct, you are my main man. This here is a bowl of water, but not any type of water. This is water made of chakra-reactive substances, said Mangetsu as he placed the bowl on the ground before putting one of Naruto's hands wrist deep into the water. Now the water will react in 5 ways. It will either turn muddy, signaling a doton, earth release, affinity, swirl around, signaling a swayton, water release, affinity, steam, signaling a katon, fire release, affinity, become colder, signaling a futon, wind release, affinity, or spark, signaling a raiton, lightning release, affinity. Naruto nodded his head. So basically I just channel chakra into the bowl and my element is based on how the water reacts to it, said Naruto as Mangetsu nodded his head. Here goes. Naruto pushed some chakra through his submerged hand as the water began to swirl around the bowl at a rapid pace. Mangetsu smiled seeing Naruto with an affinity for water, even though he knew Naruto would have to have it based on his Hozuki clan background. Mangetsu wasn't ready for the large bolt of lightning to come flying out of the bowl and strike the ceiling, leaving a huge mark in it. Whoa! said Naruto and Mangetsu simultaneously. Naruto was the first to get over his shock though. Does that mean I have water and lightning? Questioned Naruto as Mangetsu nodded his head. Yada! Shouted Naruto as he began to run around, making swooshing water noises along with sounds that sounded like sparks from lightning. As this was happening, Mangetsu was having an internal debate about what just happened. That lightning just now was white. I've never seen white lightning before. What could that mean? If it had anything to do with that enormous bolt of lightning that stemmed about just now, it seemed stronger than regular lightning. You never cease to amaze Naruto-kun, thought Mangetsu as he scooped up the bowl of water. Mangetsu then walked back over to see Naruto still prancing about, mimicking the sounds of his two chakra natures as if he was fighting enemies. Eventually Mangetsu got Naruto to calm down before he decided to show Naruto his training regimen for the next year. Well, that's certainly a surprise. But none the less impressive. I don't have a lightning affinity per se, but I'm sure I'll be able to find you help in that department. I do have a water affinity, and as such will begin to teach you how to hone it, said Mangetsu as his body began to turn into water. Hozuki clan style. Naruto smiled a huge grin as he couldn't wait to learn about his elemental affinities. 1 year later, Naruto woke up this morning feeling conflicted. On one side, he was happy that he was finally going to leave the building and see his village once more. On the other side, he was leaving to potentially hunt down another human being and attempt to kill them. But nonetheless, he still treated it like any other day. Naruto got out of bed, showered, and brushed his teeth. Laying on Naruto's bed were the clothes he was given to wear for today. After getting dressed, Naruto looked into the mirror to see his attire. Naruto was wearing a simple black, short-sleeved shirt with cow-patterned camo pants that ran into white shinobi sandals. Naruto also had on cow-patterned camo arm warmers that reached from his wrist to the middle of his forearm. The Uzumaki clan crest was on the back of his shirt in a red spiral. Naruto's white hair still held its slight red tint, but he now had two bangs framing his face slightly while his violet eyes shone as bright as ever, maybe brighter. The reason his eyes were shining so bright was due to the forehead protector held within his hands, a genin. I can't believe that I'm officially a shinobi of Kirigakure now. I'm one step closer to ending Yagura's reign and this war, thought Naruto as he tied the forehead protector around his forehead. Naruto smiled before a knock was heard at his door. Naruto turned around to open the door as he saw Yagura standing there looking at him. Naruto-kun, my boy. It is good to see you. My, how you've grown these past 2 years, said Yagura, admiring Naruto's growth and new appearance. What are you now, 4 feet 4 inches tall? Almost as big as me. Naruto nodded at Yagura as he stepped out into the hallway before shutting his door behind him. Yagura noticed Naruto wasn't in the talking mood and could understand why. Today could have his first kill. He was probably feeling severe anxiety about the situation. However, Naruto could care less about killing someone, as long as it was the right someone. The bloodline users of Mizu weren't the right people in Naruto's eyes. Well, let's get to it, shall we? There's been a spotting of several bloodline shinobi 10 miles from here. We'll head there to find the targets and end them. It'll be only me and you since Mangetsu is busy with certain teammates of his, said Yagura as Naruto looked up at him. Because Zabuza tried to kill you? Questioned Naruto as Yagura laughed slightly. I can't believe I forgot how smart you are, said Yagura as he placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Let's go take out these bloodline scum. Naruto and Yagura began to walk to the door that Naruto hadn't been through since when he first got there. As Naruto opened the door, he saw a sight that brought joy to his heart. Outside Kirigakure. It's just as beautiful as when I left it, thought Naruto as he admired his village. Kirigakure is a shinobi village in the land of water. The architecture of Kirigakure is several cylindrical buildings, with the Mizuki's office being the widest and largest. Most of the taller buildings have trees on them. And befitting its name, a thick mist surrounds the village, with several mountains in the background, making it difficult to find by foreigners. Well, Naruto-kun, let's get to it, said Yagura as he leaped on top of a building. Right behind him, Naruto landed on the building as he smiled at the viewpoint of the village from this new angle. He could see so much more of his village from this height. Let's hop to it, Naruto-kun. It was a rather quiet trip to the place where Yagura's shinobi notified him of the potential bloodline shinobis. Once there, Yagura landed on a tree overlooking the small collection of houses in the area. Naruto-kun, how many people do you feel in the area? Questioned Yagura as Naruto placed his hands in the ram seal. Naruto closed his eyes as he focused on his sensory ability. Kagura Shingon, mind's eye of the Kagura, thought Naruto as he pinpointed every chakra source in the area. Naruto began to distinguish the chakra sources individually as he separated the animals from the human beings. It took Naruto about 3 minutes to finish sensing as he opened his eyes. There are 13 people in the area. 4 of them have high chakra reserves while 6 of them are relatively small, possibly just civilian, said Naruto as Yagura nodded his head. Good. Point me toward the 4 with the high chakra reserves. We won't worry about the 6 small ones, said Yagura as Naruto located the 4 big chakra sources and pointed them out. Yagura nodded his head before he handed Naruto some instructions. I will handle the 4 big chakra sources. You check the other 3 that you didn't label as either high or small. We will meet back here once finished. If you run into trouble, alert me and I'll be back to help you," said Yugura as Naruto nodded his head. Seeing Naruto nod, Yugura took off in a sprint toward the first target. Once there, Yugura sprung up behind him. Without even asking if the guy was a bloodline shinobi or not, Yugura viciously elbowed the man in the back. "Sangosho, Koro palm," said Yugura as the man got sent careening out into the woods. Once in the woods, Koro began to spring up on his back and began to cover his entire body, killing him once it covered his face. The man's screams were heard loudly as he alerted the rest of the people in the immediate area. The three shinobi with huge reserves surrounded Yugura as he smiled at them. Yugura's body began to get covered in a deep red cloak, signifying his transformation into his bijou, the sanbai. "I will end you all without prejudice. This village has had enough of you freaks," said Yugura as he and the three began to fight. Other side. On the opposite end of the village, Naruto was busy tending to the other three people he found in the village. Naruto reached them and upon doing so, noticed that they were children. Naruto told them about the situation and they immediately fled the scene. Naruto was on his way to the last one when he had to dodge a fist immediately. Naruto moved his head to the left as a fist came flying by his head. The arm retracted itself as another one came flying toward Naruto's face. The punch nearly connected with Naruto's head, but he managed to backflip out of the way just in time. Wait. "I'm just trying to help you," said Naruto, speaking to the girl in front of him. The girl had long auburn hair tied into a long ponytail with vibrant, green eyes. She was wearing a sleeveless kimono-style blouse that was blue and held closed with a gray obi over a short-sleeved mesh shirt with a pair of dark gray shorts and gray shinobi sandals. Her fingernails and toenails were blue to match her blouse. She looked only a year older than Naruto but was just shorter than him at 4 foot 2 inches tall. Her vibrant green eyes bore into Naruto's violet as she looked at him suspiciously. "You're wearing a Kiri headband. That means you're trying to kill us bloodline users. So how am I supposed to believe you?" said the girl as she came at Naruto with several kicks and punches. Naruto was dodging the punches and kicks with difficulty, needing to block most of them due to the speed and ferocity of the girl's assault. Naruto eventually backpedaled out of the girl's reach as she stopped pressing forward at Naruto. Naruto blew out a breath as he barely got out of there with minimal damage. "I hate this war. I want to stop it as well. I'm just too young to do anything about it yet, I promise. But that's why I let the first two get away. I was trying to do the same with you but you won't stop attacking me," said Naruto as the girl looked at him with curiosity as he seemed truthful. However, the girl didn't believe Naruto and went through several hand seals. "Dog, boar, tiger, ox, rat, bird," thought the girl going through those hand seals in succession. She then placed a hand by her mouth, which bloated a little as she prepped her technique. "Yotan, yokai no jutsu, lava style, melting apparition technique," thought the girl as she released a huge amount of molten hot lava from her mouth. The lava released into a thin sheet above Naruto, and it began to fall down to the earth above him. The way the lava came out was to stop any chance of jumping up to avoid it. "I could go backwards to get away but then again I'd probably be caught. Guess there's no use," thought Naruto as he ran through 5 hand seals, ending in the tiger seal. Naruto's chest puffed up as he prepared his counter. "Suetun, Sujin Hiki, water style, water encampment wall," thought Naruto as he spewed out a tremendous amount of water that stopped the lava dead in its tracks, while also cooling it down rapidly, hardening it into rock. The girl looked impressed that Naruto stopped her technique but didn't prepare to stop there. However, as she was running through her hand seals for her next technique, she stopped due to Naruto appearing before her. "I didn't even hear him approach," thought the girl as Naruto tackled her and sent her to the ground. "Get down!" shouted Naruto as he and the girl fell to the ground due to Naruto's efforts. Once on the ground, a huge beam of energy flew past the spot exactly where she was standing. Once the threat passed, Naruto helped the girl up as he looked out to see Yugura about to finish off the last of the shinobi he was taking care of. Naruto looked back into the girl's eyes as he spoke with more urgency. "Please, get out of here. I don't want to see you get hurt," said Naruto as the girl looked at him for a second. "It seems he really is serious about this," thought the girl before turning around and jumping into the woods. Before fully out of sight, the girl turned around to talk with Naruto once more. Mei Terumi. "My name is Mei Terumi," said Mei as Naruto smiled at her. "Naruto Hozuki. It was a pleasure meeting you. I hope to see you in the future. And maybe in a future that is free of Yugura," said Naruto as Mei smiled back him. "Naruto. I'll remember you," thought Mei as she took off and disappeared through the woods. Naruto stared at the spot he saw Mei last for several minutes before Yugura showed up, and scathed from his battle with the 3 shinobi. "Seems we took out a group of lava release users. Did you kill anyone, Naruto-kun? You don't look hurt but you seem like you've been in a battle," said Yugura as he looked at Naruto sternly. "Did one of them get by you?" Naruto shook his head. "No. Ran into a tiger. I fought it off and it took off into the woods. It seems those 3 were all tigers. I'm assuming the group kept them as pets," said Naruto as Yugura seemed skeptical at first but nonetheless nodded his head. "That's fine, Naruto. Let's get back. Even though you didn't get a chance to battle anyone, I'm sure you would have been ready. Come on, we have a long run ahead of us," said Yagura as Naruto nodded his head before following behind his Kage. Meitarumi, thought Naruto as an image of the auburn-haired girl appeared in his head once more. Chapter 2, Team. It had been an uneventful month since Naruto's time spent with Yagura hunting bloodline shinobi. Naruto was back to his restriction in the building, not able to go outside as his training regiment kicked up ever since. Yagura seemed to want Naruto to become better faster, as he wanted him ready for the Chunin exams in 2 years' time. Naruto finished his warm-up as he drank down some water from the water bottle attached to his hip. Naruto then looked to Mangetsu as his teacher looked back at him. Well, Naruto, how about a little spar? To see where you're at in your training? Questioned Mangetsu as Naruto nodded his head. Instead of facing me though, I'll have you go against one of the other trainees. Give me a second while I go get him. Naruto watched Mangetsu leave the room as he became anxious at the prospect of facing another shinobi, his age. This will be the second time I fought someone of my age. I wonder if this person will be as good? Questioned Naruto internally as he closed his eyes to focus. Kagura's Shingon, mind's eye of the Kagura, thought Naruto, shifting his focus to his sensory ability. Naruto enjoyed using his sensory ability, as it gave him a deeper insight into the world around him. Nothing was left out of his reach as he expanded it to sense all the life occurring around him. He could see it all, the kids sleeping in their rooms, the many civilians moving outside the building, and even Mangetsu walking with the boy toward him. That's him, thought Naruto as he concentrated on the boy's chakra. It seems his chakra levels are just as good as mine, and from the way he's walking, he's being trained just like me to not make any sounds with his movements. Naruto opened his eyes to pan out at the door just as Mangetsu opened it to allow himself and the boy he was with into the room. Naruto took that moment to glance the boy up and down. The boy was of seemingly the same age as Naruto, just a bit shorter in height. He wore square-rimmed glasses and had short, tufty blue hair. He was wearing a blue long-sleeved shirt that went into black pants along with black shinobi sandals. The boy also had a forehead protector on, but instead of around his forehead like Naruto's, it was in the front part of his shirt. Mangetsu noticed the two young shinobi staring each other down as he smiled. It seems they're trying to find anything about each other that could give themselves an advantage, thought Mangetsu as he decided to introduce the two. Naruto. This here is Chojuro, said Mangetsu pointing toward Chojuro as he looked at Naruto. Mangetsu then looked at Chojuro before pointing toward Naruto. And this is Naruto, Chojuro. You both will be sparring today. Naruto stopped analyzing Chojuro to smile at him. Nice to meet you, Chojuro. I'm Naruto Hozuki, said Naruto, extending a hand toward the boy in front of him. Chojuro awkwardly shook Naruto's hand as he returned the greeting. Nice to meet you, Naruto. I'm Chojuro, just Chojuro, said Chojuro in return as Naruto nodded his head. Good. Now that that's out of the way, since you both are warm, why not get this started? Said Mangetsu as the two looked at Mangetsu with a nod. Great. Now this is just a spar, remember that. So no killing or maiming blows. I'll decide the winner, and when I do, stop fighting. And if you're both ready, Hajime. Mangetsu backed up slightly as he allowed more space for Chojuro and Naruto to use. Naruto immediately shifted into a defensive stance, seeing Chojuro sprint toward him. Chojuro threw out a right jab that Naruto evaded before lashing out with his own punch. Chojuro looked surprised that Naruto dodged his punch before taking Naruto's punch to the stomach. Chojuro took the punch to his stomach with ease as he threw a punch at Naruto, who blocked it. He's strong. Very strong, thought Naruto, struggling to hold back Chojuro's punch. He's almost as strong as Sensei, and the way he took that punch to the stomach just now means he's durable. Naruto then began to backpedal as Chojuro continued to come at him with kicks and punches. Eventually, Naruto needed to block one of Chojuro's kicks and paid the price as he went tumbling to the left due to the force behind the kick. Naruto rolled with the kick and stood back up in a defensive stance, seeing Chojuro come speeding toward him again. Chojuro sent out a jab to Naruto's face that Naruto parried with ease. Naruto slapped Chojuro's arm away with both hands, causing Chojuro's guard to open due to the force of Naruto's block. Chojuro was then met with an elbow to the stomach that hunched him over slightly before he was roundhouse kicked away by Naruto. Chojuro skidded across the ground a little before back flipping up with the momentum and stopping. Chojuro looked out at Naruto to see him back in his defensive stance. I thought Mangetsu-sensei said he'd only been here for 2 years? How is he so good? Thought Chojuro because he'd been in the facility since the age of 5 and he was 9 years of age at this point. Maybe I underestimated him. He's not as strong as me, but his movements are more fluid, almost water-like. Mangetsu smiled. It seems he realized that Naruto is quite good. Even though he's been here for half the time of Chojuro, he's miles ahead of him. Taijutsu is Chojuro's best shinobi art mainly due to his strength, but Naruto can clearly overcome that if he so chooses. And now that he's figured out how to effectively counter Chojuro's strength, this is clearly his win at this point. Naruto never lets information go to waste, thought Mangetsu before he saw Chojuro charge back out at Naruto. Chojuro came back at Naruto as he threw out a right jab, followed by a left cross. Naruto dodged both punches before bringing his arms up to block Chojuro's kick. Naruto wasn't ready for the kunai to come flying out at him, piercing his leg. Chojuro looked surprised that his kunai landed but was in for a shock as instead of blood, only water spilled from Naruto's leg. Hozuki clan, said Naruto with a grin as his chest puffed up. Chojuro looked shocked when Naruto spewed out a powerful wave of water. Suiton, Suiro no Jutsu, water style, water prison technique, thought Naruto as the water that splashed out at Chojuro began to surround him and morph into a sphere that trapped him in a dome of heavy water. Naruto smiled at Chojuro, who only looked at Naruto in wonderment. I didn't even see him go through hand seals? So how did he use that technique? Questioned Chojuro in his head. Is his control that good that he can use it without hand seals? No, that doesn't make sense. No one's control is that good at this age. Naruto's left hand was inside the dome of water with Chojuro as his right hand sparked to life. A thin coat of white lightning surrounded Naruto's hand as Naruto looked ready to place it in the dome with Chojuro. White lightning? Questioned Chojuro in his head as his eyes bulged slightly at the lightning coating Naruto's hand. Please don't make me do this. Just give up, said Naruto as his hand inched closer and closer to the dome of water with Chojuro. Chojuro looked hesitant to give in to defeat, but as Naruto's hand got ever closer, he immediately forfeited the spar. Seeing Chojuro quit, Naruto released him from the dome of water as his hand stopped sparking from the lightning output. After receiving a hand up from Naruto, Chojuro decided to voice his question. When did you go through the hand seals for that jutsu? And why is your lightning white? Questioned Chojuro as Naruto smiled at him. Remember when I blocked your kick with both of my hands? Questioned Naruto as Chojuro looked confused. I was running through the seals as I brought my hands up to block your kick. Plus my lightning has always been white. Whoa. That's so cool, and I didn't even see you run through those hand seals. Is your seal speed really that fast? Said Chojuro as Naruto nodded his head. How are you so good? Mangetsu-sensei told me that you'd only been here for 2 years. Said Chojuro, intrigued by Naruto's skills. Mangetsu left Chojuro and Naruto alone in the room as they began to get better acquainted with one another. That's the second member of my genin team. Now I just have to get Naruto acquainted with the third member of his team, thought Mangetsu as he headed down the halls of the building. Yagura is foolish to think that he could have just thrust Naruto into a team with 2 people he didn't know. It just wouldn't work. They would fail miserably, even if Naruto is strong. Mangetsu rounded the corner as he came upon a room. He opened the door to the room as he looked on at the sight of a 10-year-old girl sitting alone in her room. The girl noticed Mangetsu and smiled at him, a smile reciprocated by the Hozuki clan member. Amiri-chan. Do you know what today is? Questioned Mangetsu as Amiri nodded her head before taking off out of her room and down the hallway. It's the day I get to meet my teammates. They're in the big room, right? I'll meet you there, said Amiri, speeding down the corridor to the room that held Naruto and Chojuro. Amiri opened the door to see Naruto and Chojuro standing in the middle of the room, talking with one another. Naruto noticed Amiri's chakra signature running down the hallway but had no clue she would stop at his door and open it. Naruto's head turned to see Amiri staring at him and Chojuro. Chojuro's head turned later and his face turned red a bit, looking at Amiri. Hey, stammered out Chojuro to Amiri, who continued to look at Naruto. Hi, I'm Amiri Ringo, said Amiri, answering Chojuro with a side glance before shifting her gaze back at Naruto, who had looked her up and down when she glanced at Chojuro. Amiri had long, red hair to go along with black eyes that held a slight glimmer to them. Around her forehead was a kiri forehead protector to go along with a cloth that held up 2 pieces of her hair while the rest of it flowed down her back. She was wearing a simple, loose-fitting black shirt that went into dark blue pants and black shinobi sandals. All in all, she was a very pretty girl who seemed slightly older than Naruto and Chojuro but was the same height as Naruto. I'm Naruto Hozuki. Nice to meet you, said Naruto, extending a hand while smiling at her. Amiri shook Naruto's hand in return as Naruto pointed toward Chojuro. This is Chojuro, just Chojuro. Amiri looked at Chojuro, who seemed to cower into himself at her gaze. Amiri extended a hand that Chojuro shook weakly. At that moment, Mangetsu finally walked through the room smiling at his team. Great. I see you all know each other's name. Now to become friends. And the best way to do that is to whip one another's ass, at least in my opinion. So who's facing Amiri first? Questioned Mangetsu as before anyone could answer, Amiri immediately pointed toward Naruto. I want to face him, said Amiri. Let's go, pretty boy. Naruto looked amused at the pretty boy comment but nonetheless nodded his head at the challenge. Chojuro walked over to the side with Mangetsu as to give Amiri and Naruto room to do battle. Well, alright then, let's get to it, you two. Are you both ready? Questioned Mangetsu, seeing Amiri and Naruto shift into fighting stances. Remember, no killing or maiming blows, the fight is over when I say it is over. Hajime. Instead of coming out at Naruto with a taijutsu fight like how Chojuro did, Amiri immediately began to go through hand seals, finishing her 5 hand seals with the rat hand seal. A spark of lightning coated her hands. Raitun, Kangekiha, lightning style, wave of inspiration, said Amiri as the lightning surrounding her hands began to spread out over the floor toward Naruto, surprised by several things. Lightning affinity just like me, thought Naruto as he jumped back to dodge the lightning. But normally fights start with taijutsu then go into either genjutsu or ninjutsu. Does that mean she's not really a taijutsu fighter? I'll have to close the distance between us to find out. You can't keep running from it, pretty boy, said Amiri as she placed more chakra into the jutsu, causing it to spread out farther toward Naruto, and at a quicker pace. Naruto placed his hands in the tiger seal, after going through 5 hand seals, causing his chest to puff up from his technique. Suetun, Sujin Hiki, water style, water encampment wall, thought Naruto as he spewed out a torrential wave of water at the approaching lightning. The lightning seemed to combine with the water as Naruto let it wash away around him. Naruto then had to dodge a fist as Amiri was on him immediately with punches and kicks. Guess not, she's faster than Chojuro, a lot faster, thought Naruto, blocking one of the kicks aimed for his head with his forearm. But she's a lot weaker than him. Naruto continued to dodge Amiri's assault before swatting away one of her punches, leaving him enough of an opening to attack back. Naruto attacked with an elbow that was deftly dodged by Amiri before she ducked his follow-up kick. Amiri then threw a punch to Naruto's stomach that connected. Gotcha, said Amiri before she noticed her hand become coated with water. Naruto Hozuki. Hozuki. How could I forget that? Naruto smiled back at her before placing a knee in the stomach. Amiri coughed up a bit of spit as she hunched over from the knee before being kicked away by Naruto. Amiri skidded across the floor as Naruto took this as the opportunity to try out his favorite shinobi art. Kirigakyu no Jutsu, hidden mist technique, said Naruto, making sure Amiri heard it as she was getting up. After saying his technique, mist began to cloud the area as it blanketed the view of Amiri from Naruto. Amiri smiled at the jutsu's execution. Wow, pretty boy. You're better than me at making mist, but said Amiri, turning and sprinting to the right before thrusting her arm out. Her arm was coated with lightning as she struck Naruto. I'm better at silent killing. And this lightning coating my arm should stop your little liquefy ability. Naruto's face turned to one of shock at being hit. It worked, said Naruto as he smiled before seemingly moving through Amiri, who had in actuality struck the wall. Amiri turned and flung several kunai at Naruto, which phased right through him as if he wasn't tangible. What's going on? Is this a genjutsu? Questioned Amiri, attempting to break the genjutsu to no avail. Shinkiro no Jutsu, Mirage Genjutsu, said Naruto as he sat down cross-legged in front of Amiri. It's a genjutsu that one of my ancestors created, the Nidame, second, Mizukage, with his summon, the Ohamiguri, giant clam. As per the name, it induces the target to envision realistic images, a mirage of sorts. Amiri stopped trying to break the genjutsu as she sat down in front of Naruto, cross-legged as well. I see, but you never summoned a clam or anything. All you did was that mist earlier wasn't the normal mist that could be produced by others, was it? Questioned Amiri as Naruto nodded. Correct. When Mangetsu-sensei showed me the technique, I accomplished it, but then he noticed something weird about my mist that was different from, say, yours. It allowed me to mask my presence and create illusions. That's when we figured out that I could use the same jutsu as the Nidame and his clam, just by myself. It's amazing, said Naruto as Amiri smiled in interest. That's impressive. But it must cost a lot of chakra to do something like this. Questioned Amiri. Especially considering if you trap multiple people in this illusion mist. Your chakra reserves are large, I bet. They are. But even despite that, it's still very chakra taxing, and I can probably only hold a person for maybe a minute, depending on their skill level and ability to see through genjutsu, and it exponentially shortens with more people involved, said Naruto as his body began to fade slightly, along with the mist surrounding the area. But even still. You're young, I'm sure that'll get better, and the fact that you could keep someone here for a minute is more than enough time to set up your next attack, or possibly finish them, said Amiri as she felt a hand on the back of her neck. The Naruto in front of her disappeared with the mist as she heard a voice behind her. You're right. This spar is over, said Naruto as Amiri smiled, along with Mangetsu. Great job, Naruto. Same to you, Amiri, you guys really did good, said Mangetsu as Amiri scoffed. This kid had me talking to nothing, how did I do good? 'Cause if I did, then Naruto is a Chunin or a Jonin. I've never lost so bad to someone before or in that way, said Amiri as she looked over at Naruto. You aren't 2 years into training, no one's that good. She's right. He kicked my ass too, and I've been here for 4 years, said Chojuro as Naruto began to look sheepish at the 2 other genin staring at him with scrutinizing looks. Well, Amiri more than Chojuro's slightly skittish one. Naruto continued to get bombarded with questions from Amiri and a few from Chojuro as Mangetsu smiled at the three's interactions. This will be an interesting 2 years before the Chunin exams, thought Mangetsu as he let the 3 banter with one another. They deserve the interaction after all the time they spent in solitude over the past few years. 2 years later, pretty boy. How many are in the area? Came the calm voice of the redhead, Amiri, situated beside Naruto. Naruto picked up a hand and placed it in a half-ram seal before closing his eyes. Kagura Shingon, mind's eye of the Kagura, thought Naruto, focusing on his sensory ability. About 30 seconds later, Naruto opened his eyes before talking to the 3 others beside him. There's 9 people in the area, Aim-chan. 3 chakra signatures are relatively okay while the other 6 are small, likely civilian, said Naruto. Since there are 3 of us, We'll each split up and take one. I'll handle the farthest one. Amiri, you can take the one 400 yards to the left, just past that riverbed, while Chojuro can take the one 800 yards straight ahead of us. And Mangetsu-sensei can check on the 6 civilians. Let's get to it. Shouldn't Mangetsu-sensei be giving instructions? Questioned Chojuro timidly as Amiri looked at him questionably. Were you not listening during the debrief? Naruto-kun is the leader of this mission. Plus it's not like we're killing them anyway. This mission is fine for Naruto to handle, right, sensei? Said Amiri to Chojuro before turning to Mangetsu with her question. Mangetsu nodded his head. Of course it is, and remember, Chojuro needed to use the bathroom when I said Naruto was the captain of the mission. But I like his plan. Since I'm the fastest, I can easily get to all the civilians and tell them what's happening. Plus, it'll give you all a chance to meet some of the rebels that we will be working with in the future. Said Mangetsu as his 3 genin nodded their heads. Well, let's get to it. Disperse. At that last word, the team all disappeared to their own individual tasks. Amiri met her target and had an easy enough time getting to know him and explaining what was going to happen after they left. Chojuro the same with his own target. Naruto met up with his target and smiled upon seeing who it was. Mei Terumi, said Naruto standing behind a girl whose back was toward him. Upon hearing her name, Mei turned around and smiled when she realized who it was. Naruto Hozuki. A pleasure meeting you again, said Mei, looking Naruto up and down. Seems you've grown a little. Mei was right, Naruto had grown over the past 2 years. Naruto now stood at a height of 4 feet 10 inches tall at just 10 years of age. Naruto still wore his black short-sleeved shirt along with his cow camo pattern pants, white shinobi sandals, and his forearm warmers that matched his pants. The Uzumaki clan crest was still in red across the back of his shirt. There were 2 new additions to Naruto's attire though, the white utility belt strapped to his waist which had a ninja pouch on the back of it, and 2 water bottles strapped to his side. The last addition was the sword strapped to his back by a white chest strap. Naruto smiled at Mei. I could say the same about you, I barely recognized you, said Naruto, speaking of his recognizing her chakra source from the beginning, along with the 2 others and the 6 civilian ones who were with her from his first time hunting rebels with Yagura. Mei had grown right alongside Naruto over their 2 years apart from seeing one another. Mei now stood at 4 feet 8 inches tall and was now wearing a short-sleeved kimono-style blouse, still the same shade of blue as her nails. The blouse was still held closed by a gray obi that ran into a matching gray skirt. Finishing her outfit were gray-heeled shinobi sandals. Mei smiled back at Naruto before realizing what he said. Recognized me? I still look the same, just older, said Mei as Naruto shook his head slightly. It just seems like something has changed with you. You seem more confident in yourself. Why is that? Have you gotten stronger? Questioned Naruto, intrigued with the change in Mei's chakra. Mei continued to smile at Naruto before sprinting toward him and throwing a punch that Naruto caught in his palm. It'll be better if I just showed you, plus I want to see what you've learned, said Mei as Naruto smiled at Mei before backpedaling to dodge her next punch. Mei continued toward Naruto as the 2 began a sequence of taijutsu fighting. Seems you can actually fight back this time, said Mei, ducking Naruto's punch before raising up with an uppercut which Naruto moved his head back to avoid. Naruto then jumped backwards out of reach as he stood up, crossing his arms over his chest. Humph. Last time you just got the jump on me. Plus I didn't want to harm that beautiful face, said Naruto nonchalantly, causing Mei's cheeks to redden a little at the beautiful comment. You think I'm beautiful? Questioned Mei as Naruto's own cheeks reddened slightly at not even realizing he said that. Well yes, said Naruto before he quickly pulled his sword out to block Mei's kunai strike. Mei noticed something different about Naruto's sword though. It had a bright, red handle but the blade was pure white, the purest white Mei had ever seen. The sword also didn't have a guard to it, a chikuto. It's so pretty, said Mei before she pulled out another kunai and began to trade sparks of metal with Naruto. Naruto mainly stayed on the defense with his sword as Mei continued her 2 kunai assault. Eventually, Mei and Naruto locked metal to metal as Mei looked unimpressed by Naruto's kenjutsu skills. Your sword looks so nice but you don't use it well. Well, excuse me. I've only had it for a year now, said Naruto before a devious grin crossed his face. Plus I've taken it easy on you. I can do more with it like this. Mei looked shocked when Naruto's sword began to spark brightly as a coat of lightning covered it. The lightning immediately cut through Mei's kunai as he held the sword directly in front of her face. That's white lightning, said Mei, surprised by the color of his lightning affinity. You don't have a Kekai Genkai, do you? No. It's just how my lightning has always been. Plus if I had a Kekai Genkai, I'd be on your side of the fence instead of Yagura's, right? Questioned Naruto as he put his sword back in its sheath. Mei nodded her head before placing her hands in the snake seal. Doton, Dorodomu, Earth style, Earth Dome Prison, said Mei as Earth began to surround Naruto and Mei in a dome, completely sealed from the outside world. Nice jutsu? Questioned Naruto looking around at the dome he was now trapped in. But I'm sure I already won this spar? I mean I had a sword placed an inch from your nose. I don't remember giving up. Plus, you wanted to see the change and here it is, said Mei as she put her hands in the horse hand seal. Futon, Komu no Jutsu, Boil style, Skilled Mist, As Mei thought that, she blew out a stream of mist from her mouth. Naruto looked unimpressed by the mist being released before he felt his skin start to sizzle. Naruto looked down at his arm and noticed the exposed skin began to turn red slightly. You have 2 Kekai Genkais? Lava and boil style? Questioned Naruto, continuing to feel the effects of the mist. Yes. I have 3 chakra natures. Earth, fire, and water. Though I knew about the lava release beforehand, I didn't get the boil release until after our first meeting. That could explain the difference. Said Mei as Naruto nodded his head. That's probably why her chakra changed. She developed another Kekai Genkai. How is that possible? Thought Naruto, still standing in the boiling mist exuded by Mei. How are you not in pain? That's got to burn. Questioned Mei as Naruto looked back toward her. Oh, it does. I can feel my body slowly evaporating. Said Naruto as Mei looked at him questionably. Hozuki clan member. My body is essentially made of water. I'll have to remember that. This technique takes a little longer to affect someone like you. Anyone else would have felt extreme pain and likely been unable to move. Said Mei as Naruto nodded his head before moving his hands up slowly. Mei noticed something about Naruto's slow movement and looked shocked when she realized what he was actually doing. Raiten, Reikoryu, lightning style, lightning dragon, thought Naruto as his entire body began to spark with white lightning. The lightning coating Naruto's body grew a head that shaped into a dragon's with fierce, glowing red eyes. The dragon then took off towards Mei, who dodged the fast-paced dragon. The dragon wasn't aiming for Mei necessarily though, as it smashed a huge hole through her earth dome. Mei looked out through the hole in the wall as she began to tune down the pH in her boiling mist, lessening the effects of it. Mei then thought about what she just saw. Kami, he's good. He covered his body in lightning and broke out of this dome with minimal problem. That white lightning seems powerful, stronger than normal lightning, thought Mei. But that's not the truly scary part. He just ran through a bunch of hand seals and I could barely keep up. It looked as if he was only bringing his hands up. Mei caused her dome to crumble as she noticed Naruto standing outside of it, looking at her with a smile. How many hand seals did you just run through? It didn't even look like you did any, you were moving so fast. Said Mei as Naruto smiled. That's a secret. However, said Naruto, noticing his teammates heading to him likely due to his large output of chakra just now. My team is all finished up, meaning we'll be heading back now. It was good seeing you again. Mei nodded her head. I will find out your secrets, Naruto-kun. I hope to see you again, hopefully sooner than later. Said Mei, turning around to take off into the forest. I'm sure you will, Mei. Thought Naruto as Amiri landed beside him. My guy was boring. But clearly, the one you were with gave you a little trouble seeing that you had to resort to using jutsu. You okay? Questioned Amiri. Naruto looked back at Amiri as he nodded his head. Yes. There was really no trouble, mine just wanted to see what I could do, said Naruto as Chojuro and Mangetsu landed beside the two of them. Well, it seems that we're all clear. I'm sure those kids will come back to this area once we leave. But we can tell Yugura that the people in this area are all just civilians and he'll leave this place alone, granting them more security. Great job, team, said Mangetsu as the 3 genin nodded. Let's head back. We got a long day ahead of us tomorrow. What happens tomorrow? Questioned Amiri as Naruto smiled widely. Chunin exams. Chapter 3, Chunin exam. Naruto jumped building to building as he made his way to the center of his village. Naruto received a summons to head to the Mizuki's office. Normally Yugura would come to Naruto, but seeing how Naruto was but a day away from beginning his journey to Chunin, Yugura gave the young Hozuki some freedom. Naruto landed in front of the main entrance before walking inside. Yugura's secretary immediately recognized him. Hello, handsome, said the woman as she smiled warmly at Naruto. Naruto smiled back at her. Nice to meet you, said Naruto, bowing to the woman. I'm Naruto Hozuki. I have a meeting with Yandame-sama. Of course. Thank you for being on time, said the woman as she walked back to Yugura's door. Coming back into the room, she spoke to Naruto. Yugura-sama will see you now. Naruto nodded his head with a smile as he walked in Yugura's office. Yugura stood with his back to Naruto as he looked out the window of the office. Hearing Naruto walk in, Yugura turned around as he smiled at his apprentice. Naruto-kun. I'm glad you could make it, said Yugura as he noticed something. You've gotten big. Same height as me now, I see. Naruto grew a small smile. I guess so, said Naruto before his smile stopped. If you don't mind, Mizuki-sama, could we get to the subject at hand? I have a big day tomorrow. Oh right. Sure thing, said Yugura as he sat in the chair in his office. The Chunin exams are tomorrow. I expect big things from you. You do realize how big the exams are, don't you? I may not know all of it, but Chunin exams are the showcase of a village's next ninjas. Basically, the potential of its future, meaning that if a village does good in the exams, it could lead to more missions in the future, thus more funding, said Naruto curtly. Yugura smiled. Correct as always, said Yugura. Great. You and your team are the only ones from Mizu competing this time. You'll be in a group of about 60 to 70 other teams. Be sure to come out on top. And I still remember my promise. One of the 7 swords will be yours upon your promotion to Chunin. Naruto nodded his head. I understand. If that is all? Questioned Naruto as Yagura nodded his head. Naruto began to walk out the door as Yagura added one more thing before he completely left. You are my apprentice. Do not make me look bad, said Yagura as Naruto closed the door behind him. Of course he won't fail me. He's already stronger than most. He'll be the deciding factor in the war upon his return. The rebels will stand no chance once he is fully unleashed. No one will. With Naruto. Upon leaving the Mizuki's building, Naruto headed back to the compound where he'd been living at since 4 years ago. That Naruto was just a water clone though. The real Naruto was actually almost 3 miles away in a clearing that contained a lake and waterfall. Naruto stood atop the lake the waterfall poured into as he waited patiently with his eyes closed. Eventually, a smile grew on Naruto's face as a chakra signature entered his sensory cloud. About a minute later, Naruto opened his eyes to see an auburn-haired girl standing in front of him on the lake. Mei-chan, said Naruto with a smile at the girl in front of him. Fancy seeing you here, Naruto-kun. It's eerie. Some guy gave me a note and told me I'd meet my future Mizuki here. I couldn't get a good look at him because he ran away as he dropped the note in my hand. He kind of looked like you from behind, honestly, said Mei as she and Naruto sat atop the lake. So you wouldn't happen to have seen that person, would you? Or the future Mizuki by chance? That is weird, isn't it? I just came here to clear my head and then you arrived, said Naruto, continuing to smile. The note said future Mizuki, huh? That's interesting. Mei laughed a little before saying, Chunin exams are tomorrow. So I've heard. Something like that, said Naruto before adding. You know, I'm favored heavily to win this thing. You'd be wise to place your bets now. And who says you're the favorite? Asked Mei. Naruto pointed a finger toward himself. This guy. Trust and believe that I'll win it all, said Naruto a little smugly. Is that so? Just know that I'd kick your ass if I was in those exams, said Mei in return. But since I'm not, I guess you might win. Maybe. I'm sensing doubt. Are you saying there is a chance I won't win? Questioned Naruto as Mei nodded her head. Then you must not know who I am. I'd love to know more, said Mei with a smile as Naruto smiled back. The two sat and talked for the rest of the day peacefully in the peacefulness of the waterfall. The next day, Naruto grew excited. That's an understatement. Naruto was ready to burst due to how excited he was at the moment. Naruto had on his shinobi gear and surrounding him on both sides were his equally as excited teammate, Amiri, and the still timid Chojuro. Walking behind the 3 genin was their sensei, Mangetsu. Hey pretty boy. This what you always imagined it would be like? Asked Amiri as Naruto's smile could be seen showing bright as he waved to the few civilians sending them off. Chunin exams, said Naruto as Amiri smiled seeing Naruto's happiness. Finally. This is great, Naruto. We're going to another village, how can you be so excited? Asked Chojuro. We are the only Miza team, what if we get attacked over there? Don't worry, Chojuro, said Mangetsu behind them as he explained why. During Chunin exams, all villages take a momentary ceasefire, meaning that there is no shinobi fighting unless it is during the exam between its contestants. It has been a rule since the exams began and villages adhere to that rule. If not, the daimyo of the country punishes any village who does not abide by that rule. Trust me, we will be fine. Yeah. Sensei is right, said Amiri. Plus pretty boy is amazing, he'll be able to handle anything, especially with us by his side with my amazing ninja skills and your toughness. Chojuro began to lose some anxiety as he got more comfortable with the situation. Where are we headed, by the way? Asked Chojuro. Iwagakure. Our rival village, said Mangetsu as Chojuro's anxiety came back full force. Several days later, Iwagakure Gate. Well, came the voice of a man situated at a gate that led into Iwagakure. If it isn't Mangetsu Hozuki. Didn't know you had kids. Mangetsu and his team arrived at the gate as he laughed slightly. And I didn't know that you were such an important ninja, Iwado. I mean gate guard duty, impressive, said Mangetsu as Iwado's arrogance faltered slightly. Nice to see that scar went down slightly from our last scuffle during the Third World War. Iwado looked ready to murder Mangetsu. You were lucky. You got the drop on me and that freakishly large sword is difficult to dodge, said the guard as he then smirked. That's why you only have 30 minutes to make it to the exam room before you're disqualified. And only I know the directions. You do realize it's only me still standing here, right? Said Mangetsu as the gate guard noticed that it was only him and Mangetsu. The guard turned around to see his genin gone. The guard looked back at Mangetsu as he smiled. Well, they won't know to head toward the third mountain and that the circular building next to the Tsuchiki's house is their starting point. And since they are gone, gives me the chance to kick your ass for what happened back then, said Iwado, talking about said scar that ran from his eye down his right shoulder. Iwado's vision began to blur slightly as he realized something was wrong. Wait a second. Kai release. Iwado's world shattered as he broke the genjutsu he was unknowingly placed in beforehand. In reality, Mangetsu still stood in the same place except now his genin were back where they were at when they first arrived. The one who looked like Mangetsu except with spiky white hair was holding the ram's seal. Megan, Kokoni Arase no Jutsu, demonic illusion, false surroundings technique, said Naruto as Amuri smiled. Sucker, said Amuri as the gate guard looked shocked. Pretty boy here is a genjutsu expert. And you fell for it perfectly. Now let us in, you ugly jerk. The gate guard just stood there shocked. But, bye kid? Said Iwado as Mangetsu patted him on the back and him and his team headed into the village. Naruto's eyes seemed to light up as he took a glance at the village that is entirely different from his own. Naruto was right, Iwagakure was totally different from Kiri. The rocky mountain ranges that surround the village and country offer a natural stronghold unlike the mist that only keeps Kiri out of sight. IWA profits from this advantageous position and is proud of its strong defenses. The village sits among a mountain range consisting of small narrow waterfalls, with the buildings being composed of rock and stone, shaped from large, elevated formations of rock into tower-like structures. Many of its buildings sit on cliffs connected by a network of bridges. The Tsuchikage's residence was the tallest man-made structure in the village that had a cone-shaped roof and bared the kanji for earth on it. Wow! This is the place, said Naruto as his sensory abilities were going haywire with all different chakra signatures in one place. There's over 200 people in there, all varying in strength. It's amazing to feel all the different shinobi. I can't wait to see what they can do. The team of 4 stepped into the building as all eyes immediately fell on them, being the last team to enter. Being that they were the only group from Mizu in the exams, IWA grouped them together with another village who didn't have many visiting competitors, that village being Kanahigakure. After their entrance, the other teams went back to what they were doing before Mizu opened the door. As the team walked to their designated area, Naruto quickly panned his eyes to the strongest chakra signatures he could find that were likely competitors. Naruto's eyes first panned to the large group from the hosting village, Iwagakure. The first shinobi Naruto scanned was a large kid, easily 6 foot tall, and his body had red armor covering it with what appeared was a furnace attached to it on his back. On his head, he was wearing a conical straw hat, and a mask covered the lower half of his face. There was something noticeable about him that was very familiar. He's a Jinchuriki, thought Naruto. His chakra matches Yagura-sama's, albeit a bit stronger. IWA does house the Yambi, 4 tails, and Gobi, 5 tails. I wonder which one he is. Naruto's eyes then shifted to the next ninja. A kunoichi also from IWA on the same team as the Jinchuriki boy. The girl had short, black hair with pink, pupilless eyes. She was wearing the standard red clothing of IWA except her right pants leg was mesh and not the normal pants leg like her left. Her chakra. She has a Kekai Genkai like Mei. The same feeling too, so it is likely lava, thought Naruto as the girl jolted slightly and her eyes panned into his stare. Naruto's gaze stayed locked with the girl's until he then turned his head. Sense her as well. She picked up on me noticing her. Interesting. Continuing to walk with his team, Naruto's eyes pandered to the group close to IWA, Kumobikure. The next ninja was also a kunoichi but with a stoic demeanor. She was a blonde girl with cerulean blue eyes. She wore the standard gray clothing of a Kumo shinobi with red forearm warmers. She also had a small sword strapped on her lower back that was parallel to her waist. She also has a Kekai Genkai, thought Naruto. Her chakra reserves are almost as big as mine as well. A ninjutsu expert perhaps. The last 3 shinobi on Naruto's list were actually all in the group from Konoha. And they were all on the same team. The first ninja had shaggy, black hair and pronounced eyelashes. He was wearing a dark shirt with dark pants that ran into black shinobi sandals. He also had a tanto attached to his back by the shoulder strap. The next ninja resembled the first, almost as if they were family. He had the same black hair except it was straight, and it reached his shoulders. He had on similar clothing to the first ninja as well except with tan pants on instead of dark ones. The last ninja was staring right at Naruto, almost lustful it seemed. Why is she looking at me like that? Thought Naruto as he held her gaze. She's not a censor. So why is she staring at me like that? Despite the eerie gaze, Naruto still managed to see that the girl had violet hair and light brown eyes. She was wearing a sleeveless fishnet mesh shirt, dark shorts, and fishnet armbands. Finishing her outfit were knee-length boots. Naruto blushed slightly realizing she was a girl wearing only a fishnet shirt. You can see her Brea. Mangetsu cut Naruto from his thoughts as they reached the Konoha group. Kurenai Yehi. A pleasure to see you again, said Mangetsu toward Konoha's sensei. Hearing her name, Kurenai turned to see the elder Hozuki clan member. And now a Jonin I see. Congrats, Mangetsu Hozuki. A pleasure to see you too. You seem confident, said Kurenai as she looked at his 3 genin for a second. Seems your little twin there is the best among yours. How correct you are. Though they're all really good. Otherwise we wouldn't be here, said Mangetsu, never breaking his stare with Kurenai. And it seems the Uchiha boy with straight hair is your best? And how would you know that? You haven't even looked at them. You've just been looking at Minyu over there before staring at me, said Kurenai in response. How could I not? You look amazing, said Mangetsu as he then turned slightly to look at Naruto, who was with his team just talking to one another like Kurenai's team. And Naruto is special. I'll just say that. said Mangetsu, who'd been looking at Naruto. Mangetsu noticed Naruto stared at Kurenai's second student the longest, possibly to fully gauge his strength. By the way, why not introduce ourselves? I am Mangetsu Hozuki, this is Amiri Ringo, Chojuro, and Naruto Hozuki. Each one of Mangetsu's students waved upon their name being mentioned. Kurenai then took that as a chance to introduce her own genin team. I am Kurenai Yuhi. And this is Anko Mitarashi, Shursui Uchiha, and Itachi Uchiha, said Kurenai as her own 3 students waved. The group of 8 all began to shake hands as Amiri decided to add her own 2 cents. Just so you know, Mizu is here to whoop ass and take names, doesn't matter the order, said Amiri, a little loudly, which garnered attention from the several groups surrounding them. Amiri's confidence didn't waver in the slightest at their stares. What are you all looking at? You know it's true. Shursui, the boy with shaggy hair, laughed heartily at Amiri as even the Jonin senseis from the other groups smiled at her confidence. Naruto was smiling at his teammate as well before he got that feeling of someone staring at him. Naruto panned his eyes around to find the culprit only to realize it was Anko. As Naruto stared at Anko, his sensory ability snapped into focus as he felt dozens of people build up chakra. Good luck, Team Mangetsu, said Mangetsu as he and every Jonin sensei in the room disappeared in a shunshin. You all are definitely going to need it, came the voice of a boy walking toward the group. Team Mangetsu and Team Kurenai both looked toward the voice to see an ash-gray-haired kid walk up to them. My name is Kabuto and I am also taking these exams. The boy was of the same height and looked the same age as Naruto. Based on his forehead protector, he hailed from IWA. Why are you over here talking to us? Questioned Shursui, losing his normally calm face at Kabuto's presence. Isn't Konoha and Mizu both of Iwa's most hated rivals? Yeah. Why are you here? Questioned Amiri as well. Kabuto put up placating hands at their questions. No trouble. No trouble here, said Kabuto as he reached into his ninja pouch and pulled out a stack of blank cards. I have come with information. Information I have gathered on everyone here. I shared it with most other teams and in fairness, I felt I should share with you all as well. Information is one of the most important things in the shinobi world, said Itachi. You'd be wise to not give it away so easily, I know that. But like I said before, I want to help you all, said Kabuto before looking toward Naruto, who he could tell was heavily interested. Do you have some people in mind? Naruto did have a few people in mind. Discreetly pointing toward the several people he noticed from earlier, Naruto added one more name. And Itachi Uchiha. Kabuto smiled and was ready to find their cards before Anko chimed in with her own name. Naruto Hozuki. Well, the last 2 are easy since I have their names, said Kabuto, taking a few seconds before nodding his head. Found all of them. Let's start with those not in this little group. Picking up the first card, Kabuto showed off the first boy Naruto picked out with the red armor. Iwagakure Genin Han. Says here he is a nin taijutsu user, meaning he bolsters his physical attacks with ninjutsu. His genjutsu is nil and his chakra reserves are enormous. Far outclassing everyone here. Says here he is already a B-rank ninja in the bingo book. Impressive. Grabbing the next card, Kabuto showed the censor girl on Han's team. Iwagakure Genin Kuratsuchi. Says here she is a ninjutsu expert but does not lack in the other 2 facets of shinobi. Very skilled and calm in battle. An acute censor as well to go along with being that such a kid's granddaughter. Also impressive. You sure know how to pick them, Naruto-kun, finished Kabuto as he moved to the next card, the girl from Kumo. Kumogakure Genin Samui. Also a ninjutsu expert, and very skilled in close combat. And based off her stoic demeanor, and the lack of info on her, she is likely a dark horse in this exam, especially considering her chakra levels are high as well to go along with delicate chakra control. Be wary of her, said Kabuto before moving to his last 2 cards. Wow. Konoha Genin, Itachi Uchiha. He has the best attributes I've seen of all the shinobi on here. Only tying with one other shinobi. Above average in all the facets with genjutsu being his forte. Not to mention that his accuracy with throwing kunai and shuriken is unparalleled. Not to mention he hails from the famed Uchiha clan and is a master at their Kekai Genkai, the Sharingan. I'd say he would win this exam if it wasn't for Naruto here, who is the shinobi tied with him in attributes. Naruto does have a larger chakra supply and his skill with the sword is amazing. Has an impressive genjutsu arsenal and being from the Hozuki clan makes him very dangerous around any water supply. It's heads or tails on which one of them is stronger, said Kabuto marveling at the 2. Naruto and Itachi both looked at each other. Silent respect was shared between the 2 as 2 voices spoke up. That's some BS, said Amiri and Anko at the same time. The 2 kunoichi then looked at each other. Are you about to say your teammate is better than mine? Questioned the 2 women at the same time still. While Naruto and Itachi were looking at each other along with Anko and Amiri arguing about who had the better teammate, Chojuro and Shursui both noticed Kabuto walk away from them with a sly smile. Shursui then spoke to Chojuro. I wonder who he really is. To have information like that, he would make one hell of a spy someday. Don't you think, Chojuro? Questioned Shursui as Chojuro awkwardly nodded, thinking the same. Everything stopped though as an earthquake shook the entire building. Causing the earthquake was a large man, easily 7 feet tall, landing on a platform above all the genin. Taking his presence as a reason to be quiet, no sounds came from anyone in the room. The man smiled internally at that. "Hello to all you tiny people," said the man. "My name is Kitsuchi and I am your proctor for this exam. Please, if you would all stand on one of the circles underneath your feet. Only one to a circle." All of the genin looked down as they noticed circles all across the floor. Each nodded their heads and moved to one of the circles quickly. Seeing all of them on one of the circles, Kitsuchi smiled. "Great. Your first test is survival. I will send you flying down a corridor through the circle you are standing on. You either dodge the traps that come out at you or die. If you die, you're done obviously. If one of your teammates die, then your exam ends as well regardless of whether you die or not," said Kitsuchi as several of the genin in the room panicked. "If you don't want to be a part of this, you may leave your circle now, and the exam will be over and you won't have to risk your lives to become a Chunin." Wait, said a random genin from Takigakure. "What kind of Chunin exam is this? The last one I took started with a written test. Now we're about to die. What the hell?" Kitsuchi grinned at the genin. "I am the proctor of these exams. Not that you had last time. My exam, my rules. Plus you have all signed your death waivers anyway. I could kill you and nobody could do a thing," said Kitsuchi as most of the genin began to look fearful. "However, you may exit now if you so choose. Your whole team leaves with you, but at least you won't lose your lives. You have 10 seconds to make your choice." As Kitsuchi said that, he placed his hands in the snake seal. As he did that, the circles underneath each genin turned red and began to sink into the ground. 8 seconds left, said Kitsuchi as the genin began to sweat at the long, steady count of Kitsuchi. Of the 207 genin in the room, 52 teams left due to at least one of the members cowering and causing them all to leave. 4 seconds left. The circles continued to go down as Chojuro looked ready to leave. "Don't worry, Chojuro. Whatever happens, we can do this. Plus, if this was a mission, you wouldn't jump out. You'd face it. Treat this the same way. If we want to become Chunin, we have to risk our lives with tougher missions and think of this as the beginning." "Let's do this," said Naruto quickly as Kitsuchi got to 2 in his long 10-second count. "There's always one who has to give a speech." "Oh well. At least I got it down to 51 genin," thought Kitsuchi. Chojuro visibly relaxed as he was ready for whatever lied ahead. However, Kitsuchi appeared in front of Naruto when he got to 1 and looked at him imposingly. "Before I send you all down there, I heard your words," said Kitsuchi as Naruto never wavered despite Kitsuchi's scary physical dominance over him. "Seeing as how the rest in here seem to have built up some confidence at your speech, then there is no use stalling. You all pass." "What?" came the confused voice of one of the Kumo genin left. She had red hair and fierce golden eyes. "Pass? We didn't even do anything." Kitsuchi landed back on his platform as he addressed them all. "The Mizu boy is correct. As Chunin, you will have to risk your lives on missions for the sake of your village. If you cannot handle risks like that now, then you don't deserve to become Chunin. Normally you'd be given a written test, but I'm not very patient, so I skipped all that. Anyway, to all the genin still in here, you have passed the first task. Congratulations." The once sinking circles in the ground began to move back up to their normal position. Kitsuchi then addressed all the passing genin. "Now that we have finished the first part of the exam, we will be immediately moving to the second section," said Kitsuchi before placing his hands back in the snake seal. "I will instruct you once you arrive there." The circles that once were going down before returning opened up to drop the genin down a chute. Naruto went flying down the chute just like the rest of the genin in the room as they were all moving at rapid paces. On the way down though, Naruto noticed a flag in front of him. Naruto grabbed the flag as he soon found the end of the chute and landed on the ground. As Naruto landed, every other genin in the room also landed. They were now outside and the only thing around them was dirt and a large mountain. "4 of us have flags," thought Naruto as he eyed 3 others besides him that were holding one. Naruto also noticed that no one was next to their own teammate. Before anything happened, Kitsuchi's voice came on in a speaker-like fashion. "Great. I'm sure you have all taken notice of the fact that several of you have flags. Your goal is to find your team, find a flag if you don't already have one, and make it up the mountain to the arena," said Kitsuchi as all the genin began to look around. "You may do anything to carry out this task. The second phase of these Chunin exams begins now. Go." At the word go, the world seemed to freeze for a second. Once that second was over, Naruto saw Shunsui Shunshin toward an IWA ninja with a flag and drill him with a punch to the sternum. The punch knocked the genin out cold as Shunsui grabbed his flag and performed a Shunshin out of the area. All hell broke loose after that as Naruto needed to dodge a rock bullet that shot toward him. "Shit. Why couldn't I not be given a flag to start with?" thought Naruto as several shinobi surrounded him. This should be interesting. Chapter 4, Second Task. Chojuro was frozen in place. He had a clear view of Naruto and the 6 IWA shinobi surrounding him. "Oh no. Naruto versus 6 people. I have to get over there and help him," thought Chojuro, but between him and Naruto were a few shinobi and they were just taking everyone out just because. "I'll get that scared shitless Mizu kid," came the voice of a large IWA kid talking about Chojuro. "The more people we take out, The less teams that can make it to the end. And if the 10 teams from IWA all work together, we can make sure it's only IWA in the last task. The boy placed his hands in the snake seal and was ready to fire a jutsu at Chojuro. Before he could channel his chakra though, a drop kick from a redhead knocked him out cold. That redhead then looked at Chojuro with a serious face. Man up, Chojuro. We have to get out of here now, said Amuri as she ran to him and grabbed his hand. Pretty boy will meet us in a second. We need to get out of here before he starts. Amuri continued to drag Chojuro out of the area as Chojuro wondered what she could be talking about. Starts what? Questioned Chojuro as he saw Naruto let the flag he was holding go. The flag tumbled to the ground as Naruto moved his hands into the ram seal. You know what pretty boy is best at, said Amuri as Chojuro finally understood it. No need to stay here and get caught in it. Or we'd also be delusional. Shinkiro no Genjutsu, Mirage Genjutsu, thought Naruto as mist exuded from him at a rapid pace. The 6 shinobi surrounding Naruto looked around for a second before looking back at him like he was an idiot. You do realize that we can see you still. That technique only works if you can actually blanket yourself, said one of the IWA shinobi surrounding Naruto. That boy then ran at Naruto as he clocked him right in the jaw with a powerful hook. The boy heard Naruto's jaw crack as he smiled at the downed shinobi. That was easier than I expected, said the boy. Thought that redhead beside you said Mizu was going to whip ass. Guess having a glass jaw won't allow that to happen, huh? As the boy finished talking, he heard the sound of 2 others drop just as the mist began to clear. Once the mist fully cleared, the boy noticed that he'd actually hit his own teammate. And looking around, the other 2 bodies on the floor were the other IWA shinobi with him. The boy also noticed that Naruto and the flag he had were gone. Shit. He's good, said the boy as the other 2 IWA shinobi tended to the 3 down ones. With Naruto was sweating profusely. Naruto was about 200 feet from where all the genin started as he sat beneath a tree next to a small river. Having 6 people in that mirage only lasts 12 seconds. And it took so much out of me, thought Naruto as he pulled one of the water bottles off the side of his belt. Drinking some water before placing the bottle back, Naruto closed his eyes. Have to find Amuri and Chojuro. Activating his sensory ability, Naruto's eyes snapped open immediately, and he pulled the sword off his back to block another sword. A sword from the Kumo girl with red hair and gold eyes. Nice of you to block that. Nice sword as well, said the girl before smiling. I'm Kari. And that is Omo. Naruto's eyes widened when Omo cut him in half from behind with a swift sword slash. However, Naruto just dissolved into water. Man. Can't believe we fell for a Mizu Bunshin, water clone, said Kari as she placed her sword back in her sheath. Omo nodded his head as he put his own sword away. Yeah. Though if he wasn't a water clone, I would have killed someone, said Oma. Could you believe it? Then his teammates would have forever wanted to try to kill me back. What if he was important in his village? Then all of Kiri would be after me. It could lead to war. And if that— Shut up, said Kari as Oma looked at her before continuing to talk with her, yelling at him in effort to quiet him. Watching the entire scene was the blonde-haired Samui from a nearby tree branch. However, she noticed something weird about the way the Mizu Bunshin dissolved. Finally coming to a realization, Samui tried to alert her teammates. That wasn't a water clone. That's him, came the slightly panicked voice of Samui as she headed toward her 2 teammates. Kari and Oma looked at her like she was crazy until they heard a voice behind them. 2 water clones spawned to life as they each put a hand on the backs of Kari and Oma. Suiton, Suiro no Jutsu, water style, water prison technique, said Naruto as 2 balls of heavy water appeared around Kari and Oma from the 2 water clones standing behind them. The real Naruto was behind them as he looked at Samui, who landed about 10 feet away with her stoic face returning from her earlier exclamation. Naruto sealed the flag he was carrying into a scroll before placing it in his ninja pouch. How did you know I wasn't a clone? Samui stood still, realizing that if she moved, Naruto could and likely would harm her teammates. Because if you were a clone, everything would have dissolved into water. Everything did. Your sword, but the flag you were carrying did not, said Samui as Naruto nodded his head. I see. Nice of you to notice that detail. However, as you can see, I have your teammates trapped. Harm will come to them if you don't surrender, said Naruto as he pulled out 2 kunai. If you do surrender, I'll simply tie you all up and be on my way. Your choice. Samui stood still for a second, pondering the choices. Who's to say he's not lying and won't kill all 3 of us if I surrender? Who's to say he is lying and will kill all of us no matter what? This isn't good. Kari is almost out of breath, thought Samui as Kari let out an exasperated breath. She was close to drowning, having yelled at Omo earlier without the chance to regain it. I didn't want to show this now, but I have no choice. Naruto felt Samui build up chakra and go through 4 hand seals at a rapid pace, ending with the dragon seal. In front of Samui's hands, a halo of bright blue energy appeared. Ranton, Rise of Sakasu, Storm Style, Laser Circus, thought Samui as several beams of energy flew from her hands at Naruto, all 3 Narutos, while avoiding her teammates. Those things are fast and guided, thought the real Naruto as he put up a block before getting blasted back by the powerful beams. Naruto's water clones didn't have that luxury with a hand inside their jutsu and as such were sitting ducks for Samui's jutsu. The beams destroyed both water clones which freed her teammates from the immobilizing water prisons. Karui and Omoe both fell to the ground wet and gasping for breath as Samui checked on them. Seeing them both okay, Samui headed toward Naruto. Naruto rolled up from being blasted backwards as he pulled his sword out again to block Samui's tanto this time. The two ninja then began a kenjutsu battle that looked more like art in motion. Despite Naruto having the reach advantage with his Chikuto and more fluidity in his movements, Samui was clearly more experienced with her tanto and faster than Naruto was with his. Sparks flew between the two genin and their swords as they continued to go at each other, either gaining the upper hand over the other. Eventually they locked together as Naruto spoke. "Seems it is true," said Naruto as he and Samui struggled for dominance. "Kumo is also good at kenjutsu like us from Kiri." Samui just nodded her head before she saw Naruto move faster than she expected. Naruto let his sword go, causing Samui to come forward with her tanto due to the lack of pressure being supplied from Naruto. Naruto ducked the swipe as Samui landed on his shoulder unceremoniously. "Suetun, Suijin Hiki, water style, water encampment wall," said Naruto as he spewed out a stream of water that quickly rose to form a powerful wall of water. That wall of water blocked several kunai with explosive tags attached as they detonated on contact with the water wall. The wall of water evaporated from the heat of the explosion to show Naruto and Samui unharmed from the explosion. "Heh. Nice of you to stop that," said a genin from Amigekuru who looked 18 years old. That boy stood atop a tree overlooking Samui and Naruto as two more AIM genin were by his side smirking arrogantly. "However, you all are just kids. And you're surrounded. So give up your flag that I know you still have and we'll be sure that your deaths are easy." Samui was still on Naruto's shoulder as she looked at him stare up at the AIM genin. "Those kunai." He noticed they were coming, and could have just fled instead of protecting me. "Why did he save me?" thought Samui as she then noticed Karui and Omoe coming toward Naruto. Naruto noticed it as well and moved Samui off his shoulder and to the ground beside him as he picked up his Chikuto. Karui and Omoe were about to attack Naruto before they noticed the AIM genin above them and stopped. Naruto just let out a sigh at his predicament. "How is everyone with their team besides me?" questioned Naruto standing up after grabbing his sword. "Not only do I have a Kumo team around me but now I have an AIM team as well. This sucks. Especially considering that I'm the only one with a flag." "Yes. Yes it does," said one of the other AIM genin as he put his hands in the hair seal. "Suetun Mizurappa, water style, wild water wave." From the mouth of the genin, a powerful stream of water expelled from it. The first AIM genin tried to stop his teammate but it was too late. Naruto just smiled as the water hit him dead on. "Ha! Got him perfectly," said the AIM genin as the ground became covered in a small layer of water that led right into the river 20 feet beside them. The water from Naruto's water prisons and Mizu Bunshin's dispelling earlier helped with that. Samui just shook her head at the stupid move. "Idiot," said Karui as Naruto chuckled. "Thank you for that," said Naruto as he turned into a drop of water that splashed into the water below him. The AIM genin who shot out the jutsu just looked shocked at how Naruto disappeared. The first AIM genin decided to explain. "You didn't hear that IWA kid at the start? He's a member of the Hozuki clan," said the genin as his teammate finally understood. "Water is his best friend and now he's gone. Probably to wherever that river ends. Might as well take out this Kumo team before trying to find another flag." The AIM genin ready to face the Kumo genin as Samui still thought about Naruto. "I have to know why he protected me," thought Samui as she and her team clashed with the AIM genin. "With AIM Yuri and Chojuro." "Chojuro," said AIM Yuri as she looked at her teammate. The two were in a clearing as they were both sitting to catch their breaths. Who the hell leaves a trap like that? Both AIM Yuri and Chojuro had singe marks on them from getting caught off guard by a random explosive trap. "I don't know. I mean, it wasn't even guarding anything," said Chojuro as he noticed AIM Yuri had soot on her face. "Hey. There is a river nearby, you should wash the stuff on your face off." AIM Yuri nodded her head before she began to walk toward the flowing water. "Where the hell is Pretty Boy? I want to get up this damn mountain and out of here. He should have found us by now," said AIM Yuri as she got on her knees in front of the water. Scooping some water in her hands, AIM Yuri jolted slightly. AIM Yuri then smiled. "Pretty Boy found us." AIM Yuri dropped the water back down into the river as Naruto began to emerge out of the water with a smile on his face. "Hey guys. You both alright?" questioned Naruto as he stood atop the water. Chojuro nodded his head as AIM Yuri did as well. "Of course we are. We just ran into some traps is all, getting caught by the last one. No other enemy shinobi since when we started," said AIM Yuri as Naruto nodded his head before dropping to one knee in front of her. Naruto placed a hand on AIM Yuri's cheek as a thin layer of water coated his palm. Naruto wiped the soot from her face as he smiled. "Beautiful," said Naruto, talking about how his teammates had a relatively easy time without him. Though by the way he was looking at AIM Yuri, he may have meant her as well. That fact caused her cheeks to heat up slightly. "That means I can tell you about how crappy my time was while we make it to the arena away from everybody." Amuri's blush went down slightly from Naruto's earlier movement before she stood up with the Hozuki clan member. Thank Kami. I don't want to see anything more besides a bed at this point, said Amuri as they walked over to Chojuro before heading up the mountain. Several hours later. Man. This is such a long trip, said Naruto in between sips of water from his water bottle. Naruto was sitting atop a rock as both his teammates sat with him. Normally, Amuri would crack at how weak Naruto's conditioning was before realizing how much chakra Naruto expends. Him being able to liquefy at any physical contact is chakra taxing on his system. Granted, he didn't use it at all times, but in such a hostile environment, he would rather be safer than sorry. Not to mention that he was also directing them up the mountain while constantly using his sensory ability to keep them clear of other shinobi. It was amazing to see him make it this far. Well, I'd rather break for 10 minutes than have to fight someone at this point, said Amuri. Chojuro nodded his head. Yeah. It's not like I'm against fighting someone though, said Chojuro as he pushed his glasses up. But the less of it we can do before passing this task must look good on our resume for becoming Chunin. Heard that, said Naruto as he put his water bottle back on his belt. Naruto was in the process of standing up when he felt two enormous chakras enter his sensory cloud and they were moving at an abnormally fast pace. Guys, don't be alarmed, but I think we have company. They're heading straight for us. Amuri and Chojuro both perked up at that. Well, why don't we move? Questioned Amuri as she was ready to leave at any time, but Naruto still hadn't moved at all. Pretty boy? Naruto turned toward his teammates. Because it'd be like running from Yagura-sama. Granted we could run, but he'd eventually catch us, said Naruto as he turned back toward the chakras. Their chakras aren't that of Yagura's size, but they have that same feel. Same power. They aren't any of the genin, so let's see who it is. Maybe we finished. Chojuro looked the same direction as Naruto as he ready for anything. I trust you on this, Naruto, said Chojuro as Naruto nodded his head. Naruto closed his eyes to more pinpoint the two ninjas that were heading toward them. Seeing them stop and make a few movements with his sensory ability, Naruto's eyes opened quickly as he turned to his teammates. Sorry guys, said Naruto as he went through hand seals at a pace Amuri nor Chojuro could keep up with. Naruto's body sparked with white lightning. Just stay here, I'll be right back. Pretty boy. Wait, yelled Amuri, but it was too late. A white dragon of lightning morphed around Naruto before it roared and disappeared into the trees that went up the mountain. Amuri stared at the spot he left as Chojuro sat back down. Seeing Amuri's concern, Chojuro decided to quell his teammates' anxiety. Don't worry. I'm sure he's not doing anything to get killed, said Chojuro as Amuri turned to look at him. Of all the things Naruto is, he isn't stupid. He probably sensed that they only wanted him, seeing how he is the one with the flag. Maybe there are more directions. He'll be back, I'm sure of it. No use worrying like that. Amuri visibly calmed down at that before laughing slightly. This is usually the other way around. I'm usually calming your nerves. When did we switch? I don't like it, said Amuri as Chojuro merely shrugged. I'm not the one with a crush on Naruto, said Chojuro nonchalant as he laid down and closed his eyes. Amuri's face turned red as she looked ready to kill Chojuro. Don't do that. You only make it more true. Amuri was ready to say something to Chojuro but just stopped. She took a deep breath and turned back toward where Naruto left. You better come back, pretty boy, thought Amuri. With Naruto, the lightning dragon that was Naruto landed about 300 feet away from his teammates. As he looked around, Naruto stood for several seconds before he ducked. Right over his head flew several needles from his left. Looking at the needles, Naruto saw they were dripping with a purple liquid. Poison, thought Naruto as he stood and looked behind him. I know you're there, said Naruto as he pointed at a tree. Naruto then pointed toward the ground. And your partner is below me. Walking from behind the tree was what looked like a hunchback with a hood covering his face. The hunchback was wearing a long black robe with red clouds adorning it. Taking off the hood, the hunchback man had a dark face and his hair was 5 widespread braids that turned up at the end. Seems the information on you was correct. You are a good censor, said the hunchback in a deep voice as he moved toward Naruto. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sasori. Naruto nodded his head. Right. And your partner is? Questioned Naruto as he jumped back slightly. Coming up from the spot he just jumped off was a large snake. Only the head of the snake appeared from the ground as it opened its mouth. My name is Orochimaru, said a voice coming from inside the snake's mouth. Stepping out of it calmly was a man of good height. Orochimaru had abnormally pale white skin and waist-length black hair. He had a long face with pronounced cheekbones to go along with gold, slit eyes with purple markings around his eyes that made him seem more snake-like. Orochimaru also donned the same black cloak with red clouds as Sasori. Naruto noticed the matching attire. Are you both a part of some sort of group? Questioned Naruto, tense for any type of movement from the two. Kukukuku. You seem a little nervous, said Orochimaru. Don't worry, we are not here to fight or kill you. We just need to tell you something. Well, maybe more of an offer really. Tell me something? Offer? Said Naruto, still not easing up in the slightest. What is it? You're taking too long, Orochimaru. I don't like to wait, said Sasori, irritated at Orochimaru's antics. We are a part of a group named Akatsuki Daybreak. We know all about you, about your abilities. Naruto blanched at that notion. You know about me? How? I would have known if you were spying on me, said Naruto, trying to figure out how they even got close to him to know what he could do. That is of no concern to you at this pressing moment, said Sasori as Orochimaru stepped forward. We just want you to know that we can help you with your dream of bringing stability to Kirigakure. In return, you will join our organization. And what does your organization want to do? Questioned Naruto as Orochimaru spoke again. Same thing you want to do. Bring peace. Except on a larger scale, said Orochimaru. Not just to Kirigakure, but to the world. Those are the words from our leader, peace to the world. Thought Naruto, still looking at the two ninjas opposing him. How would you go about that? If terror creates that peace, then that is not true peace, said Naruto. This is not a matter of discussion, Naruto-kun, said Orochimaru. We have said what we need to say. If you want help in taking down Yagura and bringing peace to your village, then you will need us. And in return, you will help us with our own ambition. Dwell on that thought, and we will ask it again later. As the two Akatsuki shinobi turned around, Sasori left Naruto with a few more words. And we're sure you know not to tell anyone about this meeting. I'd hate for something to happen to the pretty redhead you like. Both of them, Amuri Ringo and Mei Terumi, are their names, I believe, said Sasori as the two disappeared in Shunshin's, leaving Naruto alone. Naruto was frozen in place for a few seconds after their departure. Finally gaining the ability to move again, Naruto headed back toward his two teammates. Amuri and Chojuro were both sitting down waiting for his return. Well, Chojuro was still laying down with his eyes closed. A few seconds later, Naruto came down, landing in front of the two of them. Miss me? Questioned Naruto as Amuri immediately stood up with Chojuro just opening his eyes. Pretty boy. Are you okay? Are you hurt? What happened? Questioned Amuri as Naruto smiled at her. I'll take that as a yes, said Naruto as he began to walk back up the mountain. Seems like we're fine. We'll make it to the arena safely, and there we will have our last test. Seems we are the second team to pass. Amuri and Chojuro both were walking behind Naruto as they breathed out in relief at that. Thank goodness. I'm tired of walking up this mountain. I hope they let us rest before the next task, said Chojuro as Amuri nodded her head. Naruto just continued to walk ahead of them as his thoughts were elsewhere. Luckily I can sense that other team already there, or it would have been hard to lie to them, thought Naruto as his eyes peered back to his teammates. Akatsuki? Something about this just seems off. How could they know so much about me? The team of three just continued up the mountain as they eventually made it to the arena at the top in a little over an hour. The arena was huge, more like a coliseum. The team of three noticed a giant door and figured that was where they needed to head toward. In the center of that door was a keyhole, so that's what the other end of the flag is for, said Naruto as he turned the end of the flag toward the hole before pushing it in. Hearing it lock into place, Naruto turned the key to the right 90 degrees before it stopped and clicked. A large poof of smoke occurred from the keyhole as Katsuchi appeared from it. Congratulations to you all from Kiri. You have passed the second task and are the second team to finish behind the Konoha group, said Katsuchi as the three smiled. There are rooms available for you that your sensei will guide you to when you walk in. Once the next two teams arrive, I will give you the instructions for the third task the following morning. Good luck and congratulations once again. Katsuchi stepped to the side to allow the Kiri Genin entrance into the building. Upon their entrance, Naruto glanced over to see Mangetsu leaning on the wall looking at them. Yo! Nisan. We did it, said Naruto jovially as Amuri smirked and Chojuro gave a small smile. And we're the second to finish. Mangetsu just nodded at his team. That you all did. And I'm sure you're all tired. Let me show you all to your room, said Mangetsu as the three nodded their heads. Letting the three have some time to rest before he asked them what happened, Mangetsu walked back to the lobby after getting his genin to their room. Walking into the lobby, he saw Kurenai walking in at the same time as him. Nice seeing you here, said Kurenai with a smile. I guess your twin and his team actually passed. Congrats, seems like it, said Mangetsu. Speaking of your team. Not to sound rude, but what's the deal with them? Well, more specifically the girl. Seeing how the other two look 10 and she's what, 14? Kurenai nodded her head at that. Right. I guess we have some time, said Kurenai as she sat on a nearby bench. Mangetsu just leaned against the wall to allow Kurenai to continue. I'm not really their full-time sensei. They were just placed together, given a month to train together before being placed in the exams. I'm just here as a jonin to sponsor them. The first two are both Uchiha prodigies. They are especially good for their age. And as far as Anko goes, she was Orochimaru's apprentice. Mangetsu looked slightly shocked at that announcement. Didn't Orochimaru leave your village about 5 years ago? Questioned Mangetsu, intrigued more about the violet-haired girl. Right. Orochimaru took interest in Anko at the age of 5, for years before he left, said Kurenai. He trained her. Took her on missions. Seeing how Anko is an orphan, Orochimaru became like a father to her. Enko became a genin at the age of 8 and a year later was going to the Chunin exam seeking promotion. She was a sure thing for promotion too from what her record says. But Orochimaru was doing illegal things, got caught and fled the village before she got the chance. They labeled him a traitor, and seeing how Enko was the only thing Orochimaru left in the village, most in Konoha shunned her because of it. Most of the ninjas treated her differently along with the villagers and it was tough for her. Especially trying to get promoted or sent on missions with others. I met her when she was 12 and told her that I'd try to help her. And here we are 2 years later. I found 2 genin who didn't mind being her teammate, and it's looking up for her in the village. I mean 5 years since and her passion for Orochimaru just shifted to the village and into hatred for him. I believe people are noticing that fact as well. That's a great story. I'm happy for her, said Mangetsu. On to a lighter note, you do still know that my team is going to kick your team's ass, right? Kurenai just laughed. Heh. How much are you willing to put on that? Questioned Kurenai as Mangetsu just laughed. I only bet if it's an A-rank mission pay or more, said Mangetsu as Kurenai easily nodded her head. S-rank pay it is then, said Kurenai back as Mangetsu smiled as the 2 jonin sat together for a little longer to give their genin some peace. Later that night, Naruto laid in his bed, eyes open as he couldn't help but think about today's events. Mangetsu had come in a few hours earlier to ask them about how it went. Naruto told him everything but omitted the part where he met the Akatsuki. Looking to his right, in their own beds were Yuri and Chojuro sound asleep. This should be interesting tomorrow. Passing along with us were the Konoha team, Kumo team, and the IWA team with the Jinchuriki boy. Thought Naruto, I wonder what the third task is about. Only 12 people. It is sure to be interesting. Naruto perked up slightly when he felt a chakra signature headed toward his room. However, it was coming from the outside of his window. Looking out the window, Naruto saw the calm and stoic face of Samui. Her blue eyes looking sharp in the moonlight as she motioned for him to follow her. Stepping out of his bed, Naruto walked over to the window before lifting it and jumping out to land on the side of the building. Thank Kami for silent killing, thought Naruto as he didn't make a peep on his way to the roof of the arena. Landing on top of the arena, Naruto noticed Samui sitting down in a lotus position waiting for him in front of a fire. Sitting down in front of her, Naruto decided to pose a question. Why did you want to talk to me? Out here no less and at this time, asked Naruto as Samui's stoic face never wavered. I couldn't sleep. I can't stop thinking about earlier, said Samui as Naruto wondered about what. Why did you save me? You could have just jumped away and let those kunai kill me. So why protect me? Right, said Naruto as he didn't know how to answer the question. I already know you're a censor. Is that why? Is there something about me or my chakra? Questioned Samui as Naruto blanched slightly at her accurate deduction. I noticed it when you jumped behind that tree right before we attacked you. You closed your eyes and upon opening them, you looked dead at me. Naruto just smiled at Samui. Well, that makes this easier to say. I am a censor. A pretty good one, said Naruto before rubbing a hand behind his head. And one of my sensory abilities is to feel a person's chakra. Like the temperature of it. And your chakra is one of the warmest I've ever felt. It's intoxicating. Samui slightly blushed at that, though Naruto couldn't see it due to the fire slightly hiding her face. Is that why? And why is my chakra warmer than most? Questioned Samui, intrigued more with Naruto. Even losing her stoic face to show one of interest, Naruto looked back into Samui's eyes. I don't know why. It just depends on the person really. But there are several people with extraordinarily warm chakras just like yours, and the others who have it are really great people deep down, and if I had have let you die, the world would have lost a great person, said Naruto as Samui smiled slightly. Naruto then noticed Samui reach a hand up to her shoulder. You okay? Samui rubbed her shoulder a little. Yeah. This always happens to me. My shoulders just get stiff on me, said Samui. You know, I do have magic hands, said Naruto jokingly. Naruto noticed Samui look at him again with her stoic face as he put up placating hands. Before he could retract his earlier statement, he saw Samui turn her body slightly. Well, since you offered, said Samui as she put her back to Naruto. I mean, you feeling my intoxicating chakra and all, I believe I deserve something in return anyway. Naruto sat still for a few seconds just shocked at her answer. Samui turned her head back to look at him as he snapped out of it and scooted over to her. Placing his hands on her shoulders, Naruto began to rub them soothingly as he applied a bit of chakra into his palms for a warming effect. Samui closed her eyes, feeling Naruto's hands work out the kinks in her shoulders. Naruto smiled as he elicited a noise from the pretty blonde from Kumo. Naruto continued to massage the Kumo girl as he decided to make conversation some more, seeing how he couldn't sleep anyway. Might as well get to know more about the Kumo girl before tomorrow. The next day, Naruto let out a hearty yawn as he stood in a large room with Yuri and Chojuro to his left and right. Mangetsu was behind them as the other 3 teams stood the same as them. Standing before them was Katsuchi. Great. Seems like we are all here. The third and last part of these Chunin exams is a battle. Meaning you will all fight each other to see who comes out on top. No more teams, you are individual from this point on, said Kitsuchi as he pulled out a basket. Inside this basket are 12 cards, each with a number on it ranging from 1 to 4. You will pick one card from the basket and it'll pair you all up with who you will be facing. Since there are 12 of you, we'll have a series of 4 three-way battles with one victor in each, dwindling the numbers down to 4. Then the winners will face off in one-on-one battles with the winners of those facing each other in the finale. Kitsuchi started left to right as Kumo was the first to pick, followed by Konoha, Mizu, and Iwa. Omi drew first. Then it continued down the line. 3 said Oma, 4 said Karui, 3 said Samui, 1 said Anko, 2 said Itachi, 4 said Shursui, 2 said Amiri, 1 said Naruto, 3 said Chojuro, 2 said Akatsuchi, the bulky teammate of Kuratsuchi and Han, 1 said Kuratsuchi, 4 said Han. Kitsuchi nodded his head as he pointed toward a large screen on one side of the arena. The board clicked on as it showed the way the finale would go. Match 1, Anko vs Naruto vs Kuratsuchi. Match 2, Amiri vs Itachi vs Akatsuchi. Match 3, Oma vs Samui vs Chojuro. Match 4, Shursui vs Karui vs Han. Match 5, winner of match 1 vs winner of match 3. Match 6, winner of match 2 vs winner of match 4. Match 7, winner of match 5 vs winner of match 6. Great. Now that you know who you all are facing, you have 1 month to train for your matches, said Kitsuchi as Karui decided to speak up. Wait. We get a month to train? Questioned Karui as Kitsuchi nodded. Not to seem rude, but why? Well, these exams are to show the might of one's village, said Kitsuchi, and there are plenty of people who love to come to these exams, and it takes time to get ready for such a thing. So we give you all a month. Enjoy it and be back ready to fight. Everyone will be watching, one step closer, thought Naruto with a smile as the Chunin exam finals were just a month away. Chapter 5, Finals Interlude. Only 25 days left until we return, said Naruto to himself in the mirror after brushing his teeth. It was morning time in Kiri as Naruto smiled happily being back home. Following Kitsuchi's announcement about the Chunin exam finals, Team Mangetsu headed back to Kiri to prep for the finals. They arrived 2 days ago and dozens of civilians greeted and congratulated the team on their success. Despite the warm welcome, the team knew they needed to train. Seeing how they were no longer a team, the 3 split up to train alone. Amiri got the pleasure of training with Raiga, a current member of the 7 Swordsmen. Raiga was a powerful shinobi and he wielded the kibis, fangs. The kibis were swords imbued with lightning, granting them acknowledgement as the sharpest blades in existence. The lightning blades also earned Raiga the title of Kirigakyu no Raijin, Thunder of the Hidden Mist. Due to Amiri's attitude and lightning affinity, Raiga took a liking to her when he realized Yagura had already taken Naruto. He was by no means training her to use the swords, but Raiga could definitely teach her a thing or two to help her chances at winning the finals. But he couldn't help but show her some styles that went with the swords. Plus it would set in place her eventual successor role. Naruto's other teammate, Chojuro, had Mangetsu as his personal teacher once again. The fighting style Chojuro had, along with his strength, made him perfect as Mangetsu's twin when Mangetsu wielded Hiramikarai. Chojuro was mainly a taijutsu fighter, so Mangetsu helped him work on his ninjutsu for the exams and for the future. It seemed like Amiri and Chojuro received training from swordsmen who wielded a sword that would be their sword one day. Naruto was a little sad and he was still stuck with Yagura, not getting the specialized training with a swordsman like his comrades were. That fact, however, changed today. Wearing a purple shirt, dark pants, and black shinobi sandals to go along with his chikuto and trusty belt that carries his water bottles, Naruto headed toward Yagura's chakra signature. Yagura stood on a small lake inside a training ground. Naruto noticed that there was another presence there with Yagura though, one who dwarfed the Kage in physical size and had a chakra that was abnormally high. Naruto smiled heartily when he realized who it was. Landing on top of the lake several feet behind the shinobi, Naruto spoke. I am here, Yagura-sama. And Fuguki-senpai, it is a pleasure to meet you, said Naruto, bowing as Fuguki jumped slightly at his voice. Damn, said Fuguki, turning around to look at Naruto. You're quiet, kid. And you can suppress your chakra. I like it. Fuguki was a large man, though he looked more fish than human. He was a tall man with a wide body, and his fish-like face gave him a pufferfish-like appeal in Naruto's opinion. He had small round eyes and sharp jagged teeth typical of a 7 swordsman. Fuguki also had long, orange hair that reached to his back with some pinned up at the top with 6 green stripes on his face, 3 on each cheek. Attire-wise, he wore the standard striped jumpsuit of Kirigakure, a black outfit over it as well as a white cloak over that. Sitting over his shoulder was one of the most famous swords in the world. Hi, Samehada, said Naruto as he noticed the bandaged sword wiggled, probably saying hello back. Naruto knew Samehada was a sentient sword, but to actually see it say hi back was impressive. Yagura-sama. Why is Fuguki-senpai here? Yagura smiled at his apprentice. That I'm sure Fuguki-kun would enjoy telling you, though I'm sure you have an idea, said Yagura as Fuguki grinned at Naruto. I have more pressing matters at the moment, and from this point on, Fuguki here will oversee your training instead of me. Train well, Naruto-kun. Do not disappoint me in the finals. I still expect a victory. Yagura disappeared in a shunshin as Fuguki continued to stare at Naruto. Naruto was about to say something before he felt Fuguki build up chakra. Naruto immediately crouched down as Samehada went flying over his head from a slash from the large man now standing right in front of Naruto. Naruto then backpedaled across the lake away from Fuguki, who just continued to look at him still smiling. Survive, said Fuguki as he held a half-ram seal. Suetun, Suikoden no Jutsu, water style, water shark bullet technique. From the water in front of Fuguki, a large shark made of water came flying out of it at Naruto. Naruto looked at the fast-paced water shark before he dissolved into the water below him, avoiding the powerful water shark exploding where he just was. Fuguki smiled as he jumped off the lake and on the ground surrounding it as Naruto came popping out of the water after him with his Chikuto in hand. Seems you don't know the meaning of survive, said Fuguki as he blocked the strike from Naruto. Fuguki easily overpowered Naruto as he batted him several feet away with ease. I like it. Show me something, Naruto. Naruto came back at Fuguki to impress the grinning swordsman. 4 minutes and 22 seconds later, Naruto laid flat out on the ground huffing and puffing as he attempted to catch his breath. Naruto had several large gashes on his skin as if he ran into a shredder. Fuguki, though, looked only mildly like he was in a fight. Fuguki had several cut marks but none that actually pierced his skin, and that was it on his side of things. But that was what impressed him the most. Heh. You actually managed to cut my shirt, kid, said Fuguki as Naruto blew out a large breath before smiling while on his back. Several times to boot. Good on ya, I'll do better next time. I didn't realize Samehada absorbed that much chakra. I couldn't even liquefy any more after 2 minutes, said Naruto as he moved his head over to see Samehada free of its bandages. Samehada is atypical in that a series of down-facing scales running along the entirety of its length comprises it up until its hilt, at the base of which is a small skull. Another special feature is that Samehada grows larger in proportion to the amount of chakra it absorbs, causing its scales to become so long that they ultimately resemble shark fins, and its mouth, at the tip of the blade, to become even more pronounced. And due to absorbing Naruto's chakra, that large version of Samehada was looking right at Naruto despite not having eyes. Naruto smiled at the sword as he looked down to see the hilt of the sword touching his hand. Naruto could feel chakra flowing back into him as he felt his strength returning. The gashes on Naruto's skin turned to scabs as Naruto stood back up when he felt he received enough chakra from the sword, which shrank due to returning most of the chakra it absorbed. Fuguki then walked over and grabbed Samehada as he spoke to Naruto. Normally, Samehada doesn't give back the chakra it absorbs. Must mean it likes you, said Fuguki as he pulled out a roll of bandages from his ninja pouch. Wrapping those bandages around Samehada, Fuguki continued to talk. If Samehada likes you, then I like you. And for that reason, I have something for you, kid. Naruto looked intrigued when he saw Fuguki pull out a scroll and toss it to him. Catching the scroll, Fuguki insisted that Naruto open it and see what was inside. Doing as told, Naruto looked surprised at the contents. Summoning scroll, said Naruto in amazement as he looked back at Fuguki. Are you sure about this? I mean, you just met me. Fuguki went back to wrapping Samehada back up. Like I said. Sword likes you. I like you, said Fuguki as he was nearly finished. Samehada also is the only one who chooses the next shark summoner, and everyone on that list gained approval just like you, kid. In the same way. Right after an ass whooping, Naruto looked back at the scroll as he went through every name. Coming to the last two, Naruto noticed something. Hey senpai, how come your name is in blue on here but the name after yours, Kisame Hashigaki, is in black like the rest of the people on here? Did something happen to him? Questioned Naruto as Fuguki finished fully bandaging Samehada back up. Kisame. Kisame is a traitor. Kisame was a traitor, said Fuguki. He betrayed his village and for that, I had to kill him before he could kill me and go rogue. Naruto just nodded his head at that. He's lying, thought Naruto internally, having felt the fluctuation in Fuguki's chakra when he spoke. Or maybe it was just a stressful point for him. Clearly Kisame was his disciple and maybe it was tough for him to kill him. But then again, my sensory ability is usually never wrong about that. Realizing that even though Fuguki could be lying and was the traitor to Kiri not Kisame, Naruto also realized that he couldn't do anything to stop him at this point. He knew how strong Kisame was and if Fuguki could kill him then he'd have no problem handling Naruto at his current skill level, especially considering the short fight they had not too long ago when he wasn't even trying. So might as well play along with whatever he wanted to do and try not to seem suspicious. Well, go ahead, kid, said Fuguki talking about the scroll. Sign the scroll before I or Samehada change our minds. Just draw blood and place your 5 fingerprints on there in blood before signing your name below. After that, I'll teach you a jutsu. Following Fuguki's instructions, Naruto did exactly as Fuguki said. Finished signing his name, the red that was his signature turned into a bright blue as Fuguki rolled the scroll back up and placed it in his ninja pouch. Seems like you're all set. Now go to the water and stand atop it, said Fuguki as Naruto jumped out on the lake, standing atop it with chakra. The jutsu I'm showing you is the Kuchios no Jutsu, summoning technique. Boar, dog, bird, monkey, and ram are the seals. Channel some chakra and slam your hand on the surface of the water after finishing the seals. Fuguki looked at Naruto with shock as he saw him just move his hands slowly to the surface of the water. Kuchiyos no Jutsu, summoning technique, thought Naruto channeling a huge amount of chakra as a seal spread over the water below him. A large poof of smoke occurred as Fuguki's shocked face stayed while he thought about what he just saw. That kid. His hand seal speed is incredible. Thought Fuguki as the smoke began to clear some. To think someone could run through seals fast enough to not be seen, and at that age. Despite his lack in strength to wield Samehada, the kid's other talents are more than impressive. Plus Yugura is making me make him the next Samehada wielder, so might as well get over the fact he is not a juggernaut like Kisame was and I am. He can probably use it like how Mangetsu does, being from the Hozuki clan. That'd definitely be scary. The smoke fully cleared from the earlier jutsu as Fuguki smiled. Kid. Greatness is upon you, said Fuguki as Naruto stood atop the body of a shark. But not just any shark, the most ferocious of sea creatures. The great white shark. Impressive you summoned that type first try. There are more types. And what makes this one so special? Questioned Naruto as he stood atop the shark's head, that was barely able to fit his 2 feet. Plus this thing is tiny. It's like I summoned a baby and I used a lot of chakra too. Am I really that weak? Heh. Slow down on the questions, kid, said Fuguki as Naruto looked sheepish at that. He was curious is all. Of course there are more types of sharks. Tiger, blue whale, great white, bull, and etc. You'll learn all of their individual uses, but great whites are, like I said earlier, the most ferocious. They are the best in battle underwater bar any shark and sea creature. But you better be careful though. Why started Naruto before the shark below him moved its head up quickly, sending Naruto flying into the air. The shark's mouth opened wide, well as wide as it could, as Naruto was falling directly over it. Even while shocked by the shark's aggression in trying to eat him, Naruto still managed to turn his body around and flow through hand seals. Raiton, Jubashi, lightning style, electromagnetic murder, said Naruto as from his hands, bolts of white lightning went surging down into the lake below. The lightning easily mixed with the water in the lake as it shocked the shark enough for it to dispel in a poof of smoke. Naruto ended his technique as he landed on the electrically charged lake. What the hell? Why did it try to eat me? Questioned Naruto as Fuguki just laughed. No one really controls a great white shark. They'll eat you if you're not careful, said Fuguki as Naruto's head dropped at that notion. Why would I want to summon who would try to kill me? Thought Naruto as Fuguki just laughed. Don't worry, kid. I'm sure you'll be fine, said Fuguki. But our training is not done. I only have 3 weeks to train you to win the exams. If you do win the exams, you'll become my successor and the training really begins. Now get ready. We have a lot of work to do. Naruto looked back up at Fuguki as he readied for the rest of today's training. I have to win the exams. Gaining one of the 7 swords could help me bring peace to Kiri, thought Naruto as the determination could be seen in his eyes. Heh. Kid's got the determination at least, thought Fuguki as he smiled at Naruto. Time to see if he can withstand this imminent torture. If he can, I may teach him some more jutsus to add to his arsenal. Mizukage Tower same time, opening the door to his office, Yugura walked over to his desk before sitting down. As he sat down, a spiraling vortex opened up behind him. Out of that vortex stepped out a man with a dark blue kimono on with a white mask donning black flames on it. From the floorboards of the office, what appeared was a Venus flytrap which opened to show another man. You're late, said the masked man as he looked out through the office's window. Sorry. I can't move as fast as you can, said plant-looking man as he looked at Yugura. Hello, puppet. Yugura's eyes glowed red for a second before they turned back normal. What is it that you want? Questioned Yugura. How is Naruto doing? Questioned the man as Yugura perked up slightly. Naruto-kun. He is well, said Yugura before adding. Samehada isn't the sword I would give him though. He can learn how to use it because he's savvy like Mangetsu, but something like Nubiari, Kibis, or even the Kubrika Hocho would suit him better. He's not a ninjutsu or taijutsu juggernaut. Outside of the Kirigakyu no Jutsu, hidden in the mist technique, he only knows 2 water jutsu and a lightning one. He's more a subtle, speedy, genjutsu type, which is his favorite shinobi art. Samehada is the sword he needs to have. It'll be perfect for my plans, said the masked man. I don't care how you do it, but make sure he can use that sword. Ever since Kisame failed in killing Fuguki, I need a replacement. Yugura understood, Samehada could handle taking on Jinchuriki. Even he was afraid of that sword when it was correctly wielded. However, Yugura decided to question the masked man on his choice and replacement. What makes Naruto the replacement over anyone else? Asked Yugura as even the plant man wanted to know. Naruto is something that had I have seen first, and thought about how I do now, I'd have picked him over Kisame, said the masked man as he continued to look out the window. Naruto is a genjutsu expert. And with Samehada at his disposal, he could become perfect as that sword will boost his taijutsu and ninjutsu considerably. He'll be able to handle any situation. And he'll be the perfect ninja to handle capturing Jinchuriki, said the plant man as the masked man nodded. He could catch the dim-witted ones in Genjutsu and or handle the big chakra-slinging ones with Samehada. He'll be the perfect ninja for capturing tailed beasts if he joins us with it. You really thought that out. Though I'll miss Kisame, he talks more than Naruto, plus he loved battles unlike Naruto-kun's pacifist nature. It doesn't matter. Naruto will accept our terms and join us. Even with his pacifist nature, he will do what is asked of him. He's the only one I can manipulate at this point with his young age," said the masked man. "And as far as accepting our help, he'll have no choice, and I'm sure I can get him to boost my plans even if he may eventually betray me. But by then, it'll be too late and there'll be nothing he can do." "Yes. Naruto-kun would not be able to take me on without your help," said Yagura. "I'm too far ahead of him. It'd take him a decade, if that, to face me in battle and win." "Right. We'd lose Kiri anyway given enough time. The rebel forces are growing by the day, and they'll eventually have someone to take on Yagura," said the plant man as another voice seemed to come out of him. "That's why he plans to take one of their strongest shinobis with him. He's done messing with Kiri after the death of his love. Now it's time to focus on our project for the future." "Indeed. So he will take our offer?" "It may not happen now, but it'll happen eventually," said the masked man. "So be sure he gets that sword, Yagura," finished the masked man with authority. Yagura's eyes glowed red again as the masked man vanished in the same swirling vortex. The plant man also disappeared through the floorboards as Yagura's eyes stopped glowing. Fuguki already knows Naruto will be his successor, thought Yagura as he picked up a stack of battle reports. Hopefully Samehada takes a liking to Naruto, because if that doesn't happen, it doesn't matter what anybody wants or thinks. Several hours later, Waterfall Lake. Dressed in a long-sleeved white shirt with blue knee-length shorts and blue sandals was Mei. Mei was smiling happily as she looked at Naruto laying face down in the dirt not moving. Naruto had drugged himself to the waterfall lake that he and Mei were in before he left for the Chunin exam. At the end of their time together last time, he told her to meet him back there in a week's time if they did indeed return by then. "Rough day?" questioned Mei as she heard Naruto groan into the dirt. Taking that as a yes, Mei sat down next to the motionless swordsman. "I guess Yagura-sama really wants you to win." In a vague yes. "Ovar, I falls with Fujuki Shinempa ah!" yelled Naruto, who had talked intelligibly into the dirt beforehand. Mei grew tired of it, and placed a hand to his side before rolling him over, not realizing that Naruto's entire body was sore, and the lightest touch was pain to him. Mei stifled down a laugh at the boy's misfortune. "I'm so sorry, Naruto-kun. I didn't know it would hurt that much," said Mei as she placed a hand on his chest. "Here, let me see what I can do." Mei's hand glowed a bright green. "Shosen no Jutsu, mystical palm technique," said Mei as she held her hand on Naruto's chest. "I didn't know you were a medic," said Naruto as Mei shook her head. "I'm not. We just all have to learn the basics of it," said Mei as she looked into Naruto's violet eyes. "Can't necessarily get rushed to the nearest hospital as a bloodline shinobi. So we have to know enough to get us back to the campsite and around our medics." Naruto just looked back up at Mei's green eyes. "Well, I hope to fix that," said Naruto as Mei smiled. "I know. I still remember your promise," said Mei as she went back to concentrating on Naruto. Naruto just sat content in the feeling of being healed by Mei. It was nowhere near as good as a trained medic, but it definitely was getting the soreness out of his body. And the trained medics didn't have a chakra signature like Mei's that Naruto could revel in. "Her chakra is still the warmest I've ever felt," thought Naruto, using his sensory ability to bask in Mei's chakra. "It's like the best feeling ever." "About your day?" said Mei as Naruto snapped out of his thoughts hearing the end part of Mei's question. Luckily he figured she must have tried to resume the question about his day. "Right. Yeah, Yagura-sama does really want me to win. Even I want to," said Naruto as Mei finished healing him as best she could. She then placed her knees up as to rest her chin on to listen to Naruto. "But today, I got to train with Fuguki-senpai. He is the worst." "Fuguki? As in Fuguki Suikazan? The puffer fish with Samehada?" questioned Mei as Naruto laughed at the puffer fish nickname. "That was my first thought of him when I got to meet him," said Naruto as he slowly sat up. "How do you know him?" "Well, he is one of 7 swordsmen. But I first found out about him when I was 6. It was the first time that I ever met Yagura. And Fuguki was with him," said Mei as she put her head down slightly. "It was the day I lost my mother." Naruto's eyes widened slightly. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring up bad memories." "You don't have to continue if you don't want to," said Naruto, trailing off as Mei put a hand up to stop him. "No, it's fine. I've had time to cope with it. I never knew who my father was. My mom told me that he died 3 months before I was born, meaning I never got to meet him," said Mei. "My mom did say that I have his gentle green eyes." Mei took a far-off look as she remembered what her mother told her of her father. His love for his village teammates and his family was comparable to nobody. Mei let out a sigh before continuing her story. "I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sleeping in my room. I can't remember, but it was sometime between 2 and 5 a.m. when my mother burst into my room," said Mei as Naruto looked more and more interested at the story. "She was screaming at me to wake up, but I was so groggy that I don't remember what she said to me. She picked me up and placed me in the door on the floor, which led to the adjacent forest as a sort of last-ditch effort to get away. I saw her mouth the words "I love you" before she sealed the door with a Yotan technique. At that point, I finally woke up and scrambled to the end of the underground tunnel and came jumping out into the forest. Turning around, there was a massive fire. Houses were burning, and right in the middle of my community was Yagura and Fuguki along with several others. They had a dozen of the people me and my mom lived with, and had just seized my mom before dragging her in with the others. I saw Fuguki and Yagura slay all of them before burning their bodies with no remorse before leaving. I cried that night, in the forest alone for what seemed like hours until the sun began to peek over the horizon. It was the worst day of my life, but also the day that I grew resolve. I grew up that day. And in the death of my mother, I realized what I wanted to be and do. I was going to end the civil war in Kiri by any means necessary, and I've grown strong in those 4 years. I can feel it. Even those around me can feel it. I'm going to be strong enough to stop Yagura if it's the last thing that I do. Wow, said Naruto. That's a lot to wow. I know. That's why I have to get stronger. I can't just sit and wait while they continue to hunt all of us. While other kids like me have to watch their parents perish, said Mei as Naruto noticed the passion in her eyes. I love Kiri, it is my home, and I will fix all of this someday. I don't know how, but I will. I will become strong enough to stop this war and help bring Kiri back to internal peace. Well, I'm definitely on board with that. I'll gladly help you in any way I can, said Naruto as Mei smiled at the Hozuki clan member. Mei's smile widened slightly before she quickly placed a hand on his chest and pushed him backwards with a little force. Aya! Shouted Naruto in agony again as the soreness from earlier was still affecting him despite Mei's healing. Naruto fell to his back, rolling along his side as he grumbled incoherent shouts of pain before he finally stopped at the water. Mei chuckled at Naruto. Enough with all that serious talk. I don't come here for that, said Mei as she looked at the motionless Naruto. And if that is all it takes, I bet I could kick your ass now without even using chakra. A few more seconds passed by and Mei realized that Naruto still wasn't moving, and with his face down like that, he could potentially drown. Naruto-kun? Naruto-kun! Shouted Mei as she ran over to Naruto. She grabbed him and flipped him toward her, away from the water. In doing so, she was totally unprepared for what ensued. Naruto smiled at her as he opened his eyes before grabbing her and rolling back toward the water. That action sent him and Mei tumbling several feet into the frigid cold water of the lake. Mei stood up after a few seconds and the cold water had her soaked to the bone, from her head to her toes. With her red hair sticking to her face and shirt, Mei laughed, and then noticed Naruto's head peeking a few feet away from her, as if he was trying to hide. Oh, it's on now, said Mei as she lunged at the white-haired boy. 3 weeks later, Kirigakure Gate. Damn pretty boy, said Amyuri with slightly wide eyes as she noticed him walking up to the three of them. Hearing the redhead, Mangetsu and Chojuro turned to where she was looking to see Naruto walking toward them. Chojuro just smirked and nodded at Naruto. Heh. Nice, said Mangetsu as Naruto smiled at the three of them. You guys look ready, said Naruto as he glanced at their attires. Mangetsu still looked the same as before. It was Amyuri and Chojuro who changed just like him. Amyuri was wearing a gray, pinstriped long-sleeved shirt with a darker gray obi around her waist and black pants. She wore regular sandals and attached to her obi were 2 ninja's pouches. Naruto also noticed the dual swords peeking over each of her shoulders, forming an X. Her forehead protector was still around her forehead but changed to black rather than blue to match her outfit. Dual swords. Someone must have learned something new, thought Naruto as he peered his eyes out at Chojuro, who hadn't changed really. Chojuro still wore a long-sleeved shirt with his forehead protector sewn into the chest of it. However, his shirt was also pinstriped, matching Amyuri's except it was a light blue. His pinstripes were dark blue and matched his pants and sandals. Chojuro had 3 ninja pouches on the back of his waist and was carrying a small cleaver sword. Heavy-ass sword. I wonder how he swings that thing so easily, thought Naruto as he then glanced at his own attire. Naruto wore a short-sleeved red shirt that matched the tint on his white hair with black pants that ran into black shinobi sandals. Over top of that red shirt though, Naruto wore an unzipped Yakuza-style jacket that had a white body with black sleeves, rolled up slightly to end at his forearms. On the back of the jacket was a large, red Uzumaki swirl. Naruto's forehead protector was around his forehead as the 2 bangs of white hair flowed past them to frame his face. Like before, Naruto still wore his white belt that carried his 2 water bottles and the 2 ninja pouches on his back. However, his sword was nowhere on his person. Yo Naruto, where is your sword? Questioned Mangetsu as he knew that Naruto wouldn't leave without it. He knew how much that sword meant to him. Naruto smiled as he rubbed a hand over his wrist. Everyone now noticed the seal attached to his wrist by a piece of paper. A poof of smoke later, and there in his hand was his red Shikuto with the pure white blade. Right here, said Naruto as he made it poof back into the seal. I'd never leave my mother's sword. It's one of the few things I have of hers. Mangetsu smiled at Naruto. Someone has gotten better at seals, thought Mangetsu. He seems confident, and the outfit a little flashy, but I like it. Hell, look good, fight good as he always says. Mangetsu, Chojuro, and Naruto began to walk away once the final member of their team arrived. The 3 men of Team Mengetsu never even noticed that they left a still blushing Amuri behind, who was still in shock at the outfit that Naruto was wearing. Realizing her team was leaving her, Amuri snapped out of her trance to catch up with her team. Damn. Pretty boy definitely lives up to the moniker, thought Amuri as she ran to catch up with her team. Back to IWA we go. Team Mengetsu in the Chunin exams. I can't wait to show off my new skills. All of the finalists shared that same thought. In 4 days, all hell would break loose and the world would be watching. This would be a Chunin exam that everyone would be comparing future Chunin exams to. Chapter 6, Finals I. Welcome to you all from all across the elemental nations. My name is Katsuchi and I shall be the proctor of this Chunin exam final. The booming voice of Katsuchi sounded out from the middle of the arena as the audience erupted in cheers. All of the contestants were back in IWA and standing in the same arena they were in once completing the second task. Only this time, hundreds, maybe 1,000 people, filled the stands around them. The audience quieted down slightly as Katsuchi took that as a cue to continue. This Chunin exam final shall consist of 3 rounds. Before we begin, we'll have a few words from the Tsuchikage. The entirety of the stadium all glanced up to the highest box in the stadium where a short man began to float up into the air out of it. He was an old man, easily in his 60s. He wears a green and yellow coat with a red collar. Underneath he wears the traditional Iwabakure outfit consistent of a light green version of Iwabakure's flak jacket and mesh armor. He however has both his sleeves of his shirt, but kept the single lapel on his right side. Despite his stature, power radiated off the old man like every other kage. Hello to you all. My name is Inoki and I'd like to welcome you all to Iwabakure. Thank you for joining us on this occasion, said Inoki as he looked at all the contestants. I wish all of you luck in the upcoming finals. Remember, not only are you fighting for your chance to become a Chunin, but also for your villages. With that, let us get to it. The crowd erupted into more cheers as Inoki floated back into the kage box that 2 other shinobi occupied. Those other 2 shinobi were the Reikage and Hokage, Kumogakure's kage and Konohagakure's kage respectively. A snort came from the larger of the 3 kage just as Inoki sat down. You call that a speech? You've grown complacent in your advanced age, said the large kage in yellow robes. Before Inoki could respond, a smooth voice came from the kage in red robes. I don't know. You shouldn't speak of your elders like that, especially when they outnumber you in this little booth, said the Hokage to the Reikage. Though if I were to guess, Inoki Dano kept his speech short to get on with the proceedings. People get antsy at these kind of contests. Hiruzen Dano is right, said Inoki as he sat down while Katsuchi went through the instructions for the exams. Though Hiruzen, you seem confident of your shinobi. Hiruzen chuckled slightly. Well, it's hard not to feel pride in the next generation of shinobi coming up in your village, said Hiruzen looking down at Itachi, Shursui, and Anko, though those 3 are some of the more impressive ones in recent memory. What about you, Idano? I nodded at Hiruzen. Just as you I suppose. These are my shinobi and you can't help but feel nothing but pride for them, though only one of them is truly gifted and who I'd bet my money on, said I before turning to Inoki. Inoki took that as his chance to speak. This is IWA and my shinobi have the geographical advantage with the arena being nothing but barren rock. There is a small stream but it'll not do much to help anyone. I trust my shinobi will win this event, we are hosting it this time, said Inoki before turning toward Hiruzen. I'd hate to let Konoha win 3 exams in a row. Hiruzen merely chuckled at that. Maybe we have just gotten lucky. We did host 1 and Takigakure as neutral grounds between us, said Hiruzen nonchalantly, though internally he hoped for another win. Business is good when your genin continue to make you look good at these biannual events. Hiruzen then turned his eyes toward the 3 genin they didn't talk about. I wonder about the Kiri team though. I wonder how good they'll be. It's the first group of genin they've had in a while. The other 2 kage all looked at the 3 Kiri shinobi as well. All 3 took about a minute to analyze them before Inoki noticed the bright red spiral on the back of Naruto's jacket. Uzumaki clan, said Inoki with slight shock as the other 2 took notice of that as well. And seeing how he's not from Konoha, that's not just out of respect for the clan. Could he be related to them? I grew slightly impressed with the boy. I'm sure he wouldn't be wearing it otherwise. He may not have the red hair but you feel the Uzumaki vitality in him. His chakra definitely reflects a member of that clan, said I as Hiruzen nodded, though he thought something entirely different. Could he be? Questioned Hiruzen in his mind noticing the facial features of Naruto. I think he just might. I hope Jiraiya is here to see him. He'll definitely want to know about this. And here we go, said Inoki with a smile as Katsuchi was ready to announce the first match. Arena floor. There were only 4 people left standing on the arena floor due to Katsuchi ushering the rest away so he could begin. The 3 genin stood in a triangle as Katsuchi stood in between them to get things started. Match 1 of the Chunin exam finals. Anko Mitarashi from Konoha. Kuratsuchi from Iwabakure, said Katsuchi as at that name many in the audience cheered loudly for their village's princess. Katsuchi then pointed toward the last ninja in the first match. Naruto Hozuki from Kirigakure. Are you all ready? Seeing the 3 of them nod their heads, Katsuchi let a smile cross his face as he brought his hand down. Hajime, Katsuchi leaped out of the way of the three as they all looked at each other with quick glances. Seeing nobody move, Naruto decided it best to go ahead and get the party started. Placing one hand toward the sky, Naruto held his other hand in a half-ram seal before channeling chakra. Kirigakure no Jutsu, hidden mist technique, said Naruto as a thin mist began to cover the area. Being that they all were 30 feet from one another, and that the mist hit anything 15 feet away, the genin were left with no visibility of each other. Naruto closed his eyes, allowing his abilities to take hold. I'm a sensor, thought Naruto, pinpointing Kuratsuchi and Anko still not moving. But I can't really use that, or... Naruto trailed that thought in his head before jumping out of the way of a massive rock bullet that flew past the spot he just jumped away from. Landing a few feet away, Naruto closed his eyes again. She's also a sensor, and if I lock onto her, she'll notice me and counterattack, thought Naruto, hiding his chakra signature before focusing on his listening. But unlike them, I'm trained in silent killing. Hearing a steady breath and heartbeat, Naruto smiled to himself before taking off in a silent sprint toward the sounds. Anko stood alone in the mist as she breathed in and out at a regular pace. Naruto figured she was the easier target due to her being a non-sensor, so he went after the violet-haired kunoichi first. Naruto appeared behind Anko with a kunai ready to place at her neck and force her to give up. However, Naruto was in for a surprise as Anko grinned. Sucker, said Anko as she dispelled in a poof of smoke. Kage Bunshin? She knows that high-level technique? Thought Naruto before he jumped back to avoid a numerous amount of snakes. The snakes began to chance Naruto as he continued to run backwards to get out of sight. Sanaijushu, hidden shadow snake hands, said Anko, standing 10 feet from the now retreating Naruto. Anko began to run to keep up with Naruto as to not lose him in the mist. The snakes were on Naruto closer and closer as he continued to back up. That seemed grim due to the massive rock bullet that was also heading toward him from behind. Naruto stopped jumping back as the snakes and rock bullet converged on him. Turning into a puddle, the snakes and rock bullet flew into each other, as the rock bullet mauled its way through the snakes before Anko gracefully slid underneath it. Naruto reformed out of the puddle as he noticed Anko in front of him on her knees. Not blushing at the implication that could be taken from her position's relevance to his, Naruto went through several hand seals. Mizu Bunshin no Jutsu, water clone technique, said Naruto as 5 clones formed behind him before darting backwards into the mist to engage the rock bullet firing Kuratsuchi. That left Naruto alone with the Konoha Kunoichi. Naruto kicked out at Anko's face only to watch her block the kick with both hands. Naruto retracted his foot as he threw out a flurry of punches. Anko blocked the first 2 punches, but the next 2 decked her in the shoulder then face, sending her skidding across her back. Anko back flipped up from the punch, much to Naruto's surprise, as she then came rushing at him. Anko flowed through her taijutsu style with practiced ease as Naruto could do nothing but block and look on in fascination at her ability in the art now that she was standing. True to those snakes she just sent out at me, she moves like one too, thought Naruto, blocking an overhead kick from Anko, only for her to jump spin and belt him in the stomach with her other foot. Naruto took the kick with a slight grunt as Anko landed before pushing her other foot down due to Naruto lessening his block from her stomach kick. Naruto took the kick to the head as he face planted into the ground below. Anko smirked before noticing Naruto turn into water. So he was a Bunshin. I guess the real one went after that other girl, said Anko before she looked back at the puddle before her. Unless he just... A fist came flying out of the puddle as Anko's eyes widened. Anko did move to dodge the quick punch as the rest of Naruto came back out at her to continue their taijutsu fight. Now attacking, Naruto attempted to nullify Anko's attacking taijutsu as he intended to keep her defending against him. That plan backfired, however, as several more snakes came floating out of Anko's mesh shirt. How the hell does she hide those things in there? Thought Naruto before he ducked and jumped back to avoid the fast-paced snakes again. Audience, what the hell is going on in there? Shouted a random civilian. The audience couldn't see a thing due to the mist covering the field, only hearing jutsu names and the small sounds of a fight. Damn it! I want to see the action. Several cheers in agreement sounded out as the audience continued to try to figure out what was going on. Over in the box directly opposite the Kage box were the finalists. The 9 other finalists were all watching the fight with varying thoughts. Shursui had his Sharingan on as he easily looked through the mist to see the fight. As did Itachi. I wonder if that's all he can do, thought Shursui, watching Naruto getting bested by Anko seemingly at each of their exchanges. That wouldn't make sense though. That IWA boy said he was on par with Itachi. Maybe he's not going full out, Naruto, thought Samui as she kept her eyes peeled to try to see any sign that he was doing okay. You better win. I want to fight you for real, not like that time on the mountain. Let's go, pretty boy. Hurry up and finish this, shouted Amiri out of the finalists' box as Jojuro, who was standing next to her, laughed slightly at his teammates' outburst. Several dozen people looked at her like she was crazy, but she didn't care about how she looked or sounded, she just wanted to help her teammate. Arena floor, enough of this stupid mist, said Kuratsuchi, having finished off the pestering clones. Naruto stopped Anko's snakes by cutting their heads off with a kunai before hiding from the surprisingly good kunoichi. Naruto's ears perked up as he heard Kuratsuchi go through several hand seals. Naruto panicked when he felt the air heat up and immediately went through a number of hand seals to protect himself. Suetun, Sujin Hiki, water style, water encampment wall, said Naruto before spewing out a large wall of water in front of him. Just as he did that, a huge wall of fire came flying into the wall as it contacted with his water wall. Steam rose and the mist lifted due to the hotter air as Naruto could now see Kuratsuchi standing on one end of the arena floor. Naruto then turned his head to see Anko smirking at him from the end opposite Kuratsuchi. Why am I sandwiched in the middle of them? Thought Naruto before seeing Anko and Kuratsuchi go through hand seals. Naruto went through his own hand seals to counter. I hope this works. Katan, Ryuka no Jutsu, fire style, dragon fire technique, said Anko before spewing out a large amount of fire that took on a dragon-like appearance. Just identical to her, Kuratsuchi blew out her own stream of fire. Katan Enden, fire style, flame bullet, said Kuratsuchi. Anko and Kuratsuchi's jutsus were on Naruto fast. Naruto just simply shot out another stream of water from his mouth while going through another set of hand seals. The water converged around him just as the two fire jutsus sandwiched him. An explosion occurred from the two jutsus contacting with Naruto as steam clouded him for several seconds. When it died down, Naruto could be seen unharmed floating in a ball of water. Suiton, Suiro no Jutsu, water style, water prison technique, thought Naruto trapped in his own technique. Rather than use the jutsu to imprison someone, Naruto used the dense water as a perfect shield against the fire techniques. Kuratsuchi and Anko looked impressed with the jutsu's usage, but also realized he was a sitting duck at the moment. The two kunoichi sprinted toward Naruto to catch him, while he couldn't move. However, Naruto wasn't done having gone through another set of seals before his movements became restricted by his technique. Suiton, Suikoden no Jutsu, water style, water shark technique, thought Naruto as from each side of his water prison, two large water sharks came flying out of it at the two unsuspecting kunoichis. The water sharks exploded against the two of them, sending Kuratsuchi flying backwards and Anko up due to her trying to jump over the shark but getting caught by it detonating. Below her, here's my chance, thought Naruto as he let his water prison dispel into 3 more water clones. 2 clones went toward one kunoichi while Naruto and the third clone went toward the other. 2 Narutos arrived at Kuratsuchi, who was wet from the earlier water shark and attempting to stand back up. Not more clones, said Kuratsuchi as she stood and decked the first approaching Naruto with a fist. That Naruto turned to water, splashing the kunoichi before she blocked the next Naruto's punch. Kuratsuchi was ready to hit the next Naruto before she realized something. The water from the first Naruto didn't stick to me, that means, thought Kuratsuchi as a kunai found its way underneath her neck from the reformed Naruto behind her. Give up, said Naruto as Kuratsuchi regrettably forfeited. Naruto removed his kunai before turning toward Anko's direction while Katsuchi nodded his head. Kuratsuchi of IWA. Eliminated due to forfeit, said Katsuchi as the IWA girl made her way out of the arena floor. While that occurred, Naruto held the ram seal as he stared at Anko defending against his water clones. I was kicking your original's ass. You think I can't handle some clones? Questioned Anko before she belted one of the clones with a sharp kick to the head. That water clone dispelled into water as Anko turned her attention to the remaining one. Of course not. Unless, said the clone in front of her as Anko felt her vision blur slightly. Genjutsu, thought Anko as she built up chakra. I may not have known my teammates for long, but they are Uchihas. I can spot Genjutsu thanks to them. Anko broke the Genjutsu with ease before sprinting toward the remaining Naruto clone. The clone just smiled as Anko threw a fist out at him that connected with the clone, dispelling him as well. Anko then turned around to see Naruto standing on the opposite end of the stadium still holding the ram seal. Bring it on, pretty boy. This fight isn't over, said Anko with a smirk that Naruto reciprocated. Naruto let his hands out of the ram seal before he pointed at Anko. Yes. Yes it is, said Naruto as Anko wondered what he could mean. Anko then froze when she heard a voice she hadn't heard in several years. Kukukuku. Anko-chan, I see you are well, came the calm voice of Orochimaru standing behind Anko. Anko turned slowly toward his voice to see the snake Sannin staring at her with his golden slit eyes. Anko stared at Orochimaru for close to 30 seconds before her expression turned to one of rage. Anko attempted to move but found that she couldn't at all, nor could she breath. Orochimaru then vanished as she found herself in a ball of water and back to reality. Anko Midarashi of Konoha. Eliminated due to inability to fight. Winner of the first match, Naruto Hozuki of Kirigakure, said Katsuchi as the audience cheered loudly at that announcement. The water prison around Anko dispelled as Anko sat on the ground wet and confused. Yudakata, ephemeral, said Naruto as Anko blinked at his word to notice him standing above her. What happened? Questioned Anko before seeing Naruto hold the hand out to let her up. When did you use that second genjutsu? It was so real and I didn't even feel my chakra get disrupted. Helping Anko to her feet, Naruto decided to explain. Remember when I pointed my finger at you? Said Naruto as he and Anko were walking out of the arena to allow them to prep for match 2. That's when I used the second genjutsu, and as far as feeling your chakra disrupt, you were never out of the first one. Anko's eyes widened in surprise. Wow. You can double-layer genjutsu like that? Said Anko as Naruto nodded his head. Naruto and Anko entered the tunnel into the stadium before she pressed the white-haired ninja into the wall. The two stayed like that for a minute, just looking at each other, before Naruto decided to speak, seeing that Anko hadn't. "What are you doing?" questioned Naruto as Anko just grinned at him before that lustful look from before the exam started returned to her pretty face. "You could have easily turned into water just now." "You still can," said Anko as she continued to smile. "You know what this is, and if I didn't, would you show me?" questioned Naruto as Anko brought her face close to his. "Yes, I will. Maybe in a few years though," said Anko, letting Naruto's shirt go before backing up. "Find me in a few years and I'll be sure to give you a demonstration." Anko then turned around to walk away from the excited young, almost 11 years old Hozuki clan member. "Wow," said Naruto, who despite his young age knew exactly who girls were and what they meant to boys. "I will make sure you're the first to show me, Anko-chan." Anko just flashed Naruto another smile before vanishing around the corner. Naruto then dusted himself off before heading up to the finalist box. "Hokage box, well, that was impressive," came the calm voice of the Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. "Naruto Hozuki. Seems Kiri has found a gem, so it seems. But he did get lucky against the Konoha girl though. I believe she could have won if it wasn't for his skill in genjutsu. She'll probably given the go-ahead to become a Chunin despite losing her taijutsu fierce," came the reply of the bulky Raikage before looking over at Inoki's face. "And wasn't that your granddaughter being the first to get eliminated? Don't tell me IWA isn't going to win its home Chunin exam." Inoki just sat with a poker face on as Katsuchi was getting ready to announce the second match. She didn't even get to show her skills off due to that missed either. Granted, she fought against those clones, but they're just clones. The other girl got the Hozuki boy and could at least show off some form of Chunin aptitude. "Damn it, let's hope Akatsuchi can do better," thought Inoki before adding. "But then again, there's always Han. He will win no matter what. No genin can take on a Jinchuriki." "You may laugh now, Raikage, but we shall see who has the last laugh," said Inoki, slightly agitated due to his granddaughter's performance, well, lack thereof. Situated just above the Hokage box was a man with spiky white hair that flowed down his back. The man also had two bangs of his white hair framing either side of his face with two red lines drawn from his eyes to his chin. On the man's head was a horned forehead protector that displayed kanji for the word oil. Many in the world feared this man as the Toad Sage, Jiraiya of the Sannin, but now, he was just a curious man looking at the last fight. "Naruto," said Jiraiya, having watched him win the last fight. "Can you really be her son?" Deciding to find out more about the Kiri ninja when the next match started, Jiraiya pulled out a telescope before turning around and looking out over the village. Giggling perversely to himself when he found a hot spring, Jiraiya grew content with his view just as Katsuchi's voice sounded out. Arena floor, match 2 of the Chunin exam finals. Amuri Ringo of Kirigakure. Akatsuchi from Iwagakure. Started Katsuchi as again he heard loud cheers from the audience at an IWA ninja's name. "Damn. Need to start saying IWA last," thought Katsuchi before pointing to the last fighter, an Itachi Uchiha from Konohagakure. "Are all the fighters ready?" questioned Katsuchi as the three nodded. "Hajime." Unlike the last fight when no one moved at the word Hajime, this match proved was different in that aspect. "Raiten Bakurai, lightning style, depth charge," said Amuri as she vanished due to her body being enveloped by lightning. The lightning then separated into two off the kunoichi as they headed directly for Itachi and Akatsuchi. "Thank you, pretty boy, for the idea," thought Amuri, having developed the jutsu based off Naruto's Dragon One. The bolts of lightning reached their targets as Itachi merely jumped out of the way while Akatsuchi put his hands in the snake's seal. "Doton, Dorihiki, Earth style, mud wall," said Akatsuchi as from the ground beneath him, a thick wall rose to block the lightning technique. The lightning bolt tore into the wall, crumbling it, but Akatsuchi was left unharmed. Amuri then took both swords of her back before using them to block several shuriken tossed at her. Hearing the clang of the last kunai, Amuri lowered her sword to look at the culprit behind the tossed metal. That proved not wise as it was Itachi who threw them, and he gave her Sharingan-enhanced gaze back. "Genjutsu, Sharingan," thought Itachi as Amuri froze from just looking at his eyes. In Amuri's mind, Amuri became trapped on an empty plane before noticing that her body was paper-like. Looking out in front of her, Amuri saw Itachi standing there just as a bit of smoke rose in front of her. Amuri looked down to see her burning due to a fire starting from her feet to her head. Genjutsu. He can use it with his eyes, thought Amuri before closing her own eyes. "Glad pretty boy is my teammate." Finalist box. "There you are, dude. Where have you been?" came the voice of Naruto's teammate, Chojuro, as Naruto walked into the finalist box. Naruto noticed his friend as he walked up next to him. "What do you mean, yo?" questioned Naruto, looking out at the fight to see it already started. "Oh my. That took longer than expected." "What took longer than expected?" questioned Chojuro as Naruto looked at him. Walking behind Chojuro, unseen by the blue-haired Kiri swordsman, was Anko smiling at Naruto. Naruto let a small smile grace his face in return as Anko continued walking to stand next to Shursui. "Yes, she'll definitely be first," thought Naruto before focusing on his teammate, and just waving it off. Naruto then turned to see Amiri frozen in a genjutsu while Itachi and the IWA boy, Akatsuchi, were fighting come one Aim-chan. Break that genjutsu. Naruto smiled to himself seeing Amiri struggling slightly to move before he felt a hand touch his shoulder. Naruto jumped slightly having not felt the hand nor the person arrive. Naruto vanished just as the hand touched him. Whoa! Where the hell did Naruto go? Questioned Chojuro, garnering Shursue's attention. Did you see anything? Shursui shook his head before turning his Sharingan eyes back to the fight below. No. Nothing. Said Shursui. Chojuro looked around for a bit before just shrugging his shoulders and looking back at the fight as well. While that happened, Naruto found himself standing on top of the arena with that same hand on his shoulder. Turning around to see the person smiling at him, Naruto's eyes widened recognizing the person. Naruto, huh? Questioned the voice from the man. Not to interrupt your watching the exam, but I have to know, how did you get that name? You're Jiraiya of the Sannin arena floor. Yes. Shouted Amiri, finally appearing back in reality from Itachi's earlier genjutsu. Amiri then took in her surroundings to see the large IWA boy attacking the easily dodging Itachi. Damn. He is good. Sprinting toward the two, Amiri attempted to surprise them. At the same time as Amiri's sprint, Itachi jumped back to dodge a rock-coated fist from Akatsuchi. Akatsuchi had morphed rock to surround his hands as to add an edge to his taijutsu, but it proved useless due to Itachi's Sharingan predicting his every movement. However, the large boy was relentless and decided to continue to catch the Uchiha off guard somehow. Akatsuchi raised his fist from the ground to punch Itachi into next week. Upon lifting it though, he noticed the stoic Uchiha holding the tiger seal. Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu, fire style, grand fireball technique, said Itachi before blowing out a large torrent of flames right in Akatsuchi's face. Crossing his rock arms in a defense, the powerful fire technique blasted Akatsuchi away from the Uchiha, as he went sailing in the air backwards. Amiri noticed the IWA boy heading toward her, and smiled before jumping in the way of his backward movement. Amiri placed a hand on the back of the large boy, stopping him in midair as the two fell down. Right-un, Kaminari Kaimusho, lightning style, lightning prison, said Amiri as lightning sparked around the large IWA boy. Akatsuchi jolted several times from the lightning coursing through his body as he became paralyzed by the surge. Amiri then looked over at Katsuchi, who nodded back at the Kiri Kunoichi. Akatsuchi of the Wagakure. Eliminated. Said Katsuchi. Amiri then sprinted toward Itachi as medics arrived to carry the unconscious shinobi out of the arena. During Amiri's sprint, she was careful to not look at his eyes again. Amiri swiped out with one of her swords, only to cut through air. Opening her eyes, Amiri now felt a hand on the back of her shoulder. Shit. I heard him jump too late. Thought Amiri as she could feel Itachi grip her. It's over. Said Itachi floating in the air above Amiri with a hand on her shoulder. Itachi flipped fully over Amiri before using that momentum to flip Amiri above his head. Hyene, early sacrifice. Amiri saw nothing but the sky revolve really fast around her before she met black. The last thing Amiri heard was Katsuchi's voice sound out. Winner of the second match. Itachi Uchiha of Konoha. Said Katsuchi as Amiri fell asleep to hear cheers ring out at the end of match 2. Kagebox. Wow. I see the Uchiha clan hasn't slacked in shelling out prodigies. Said Inoki as Hiruzen smiled to himself at that. Yes. So it seems. Said Hiruzen with a grin on his face. The first 2 matches have shown very skilled genin. Though the second match ended earlier than the first, you can still see the potential of the 2 victors. And even the ones whom were eliminated. I nodded his head. So it seems. Though we haven't seen one of my shinobi yet. I do hope they impress as much as the 2 winners have. Said I as Hiruzen nodded his head. I'm sure they will Reikage Dano. Said Hiruzen looking at the bulky Kage. I heard about the first task and second task of this Chunin exam. That Katsuchi is some proctor. Indeed he is. He is your son, isn't he? Questioned I as Inoki nodded his head. Well, your 2 genin suck, but that Katsuchi is a great ninja. He certainly weeded out all the bad apples to leave only the good ninjas left for this final. Yes, he did. Said Inoki with a small smile despite the attack on his genin. Let's hope the rest of these fights are just as good. Yes, let's. Replied the other Kages before turning their attention back to the arena. Naruto and Jiraiya top of the arena. So you really are her son? Questioned Jiraiya as Naruto nodded his head, still starstruck at speaking to Jiraiya. Can you prove it? Naruto blanched slightly at that before realizing something. Running a hand over the seal on his arm, the pure white blade of Kushina's sword appeared in his hand. This is my Ka-chan's sword. I could only gain access to it by getting to level 4 in Fuinjutsu. Said Naruto before pulling a scroll out of his ninja pouch. Naruto opened the scroll as the seal appeared. A poof of smoke later and Naruto was holding a book that Jiraiya hadn't seen in a long time. The Tale of the Utterly Gutsy Shinobi. Written by Jiraiya the Toad Sage. Said Jiraiya with a smile that Naruto reciprocated. I got my name from this book. Naruto is the main character. Said Naruto as Jiraiya nodded his head. And I even cut my hair to look like yours, though I didn't know you had a ponytail from this picture. Naruto looked down at the picture of Jiraiya on the book as the Toad Sage just continued to look at the boy who shared many of his mother's features. It seems that old Toad may have been right with that new prophecy. A boy made of spiraling water will lead the world into peace, thought Jiraiya, looking at Naruto pull on the back of his hair and trying to see if he could turn it into a ponytail. I seem blessed by Kami, to lose Minato, whom I thought was the child of prophecy before, and to now find Kushina's son, the same Kushina who was the only person besides Minato to actually read my first book and like it. And now her son is before me. Maybe this is fate. Well, do I have something for you then? Exclaimed Jiraiya before sitting down in front of Naruto, beckoning him to do the same. It's a tale about your mother, Kushina Uzumaki Yuza's Benheim, Whirlpool's Crimson Princess. But I'll only tell you if you promise me one thing. Naruto's eyes widened happily, ready to hear about the mother he never met. Hearing Jiraiya's next words, Naruto looked at him with a shocked expression. You tell me about what the Akatsuki asked of you, said Jiraiya with a very serious face. Chapter 7 Finals 2. So that's what they asked of you, huh? Said Jiraiya as Naruto nodded his head. They want to offer you their services in helping you bring peace to Kirigakure for your return service in their organization. That's what Orochimaru and Sasori said when they confronted me, said Naruto before adding. They threatened to hurt two people very dear to me as well if I ever told anyone. Jiraiya nodded at that. So why so trustworthy of me? Why tell me despite those consequences? Said Jiraiya. And two more things, how do you know I'm not one of them in disguise, and why do they want you particularly? You don't seem like a powerhouse shinobi to me. Akatsuki is S rank only, why do they want a toddler? Naruto disregarded the jab at his age. Because my mother trusts you. She wrote all about you in the seal book she left for me, said Naruto before adding. And I'm a very good censor. You're definitely not one of them because your chakra levels surpass Orochimaru's and Sasori's. Plus I know they aren't around to even know about us meeting. You made sure of that, it seems. And why they would want me I guess you'll find out in the exams. If I get pushed that far, I'll find out? Questioned Jiraiya as Naruto just smiled. You've been hiding your true skills? I thought that mist you made was too light. Normally it's so thick you can barely see through it at all. Why hide your skills? Naruto looked at Jiraiya before pointing toward him. Why do you hide your skills? Questioned Naruto as Jiraiya smiled at that. Information is powerful, and the more people who believe you a terrible ninja, the more vulnerable they are when facing them. Many still believe you're the worst of the Sannin, but from what my Kachan said, you could probably beat the Hokage. Heh. You're pretty smart, kid, said Jiraiya in return to the kid's statement. Naruto just shrugged at that. I try. So now you know about the Akatsuki thing. What should I do? Questioned Naruto as Jiraiya put a hand to his chin in thought. I told you because I thought you could help me. Can you? I say do nothing, said Jiraiya after a few seconds as Naruto's eyebrows raised in surprise. There's nothing you can do, though I may have a way that we could take them down if you're up to it. I'll tell you in the future though when you're older. For now, do nothing. Don't accept their offer, just continue about life and I'll be sure to help in any way I can. Anything for Kushina's child. Oh! Exclaimed Naruto before looking at Jiraiya. Oh right. The tale about your mother, said Jiraiya as Naruto listened intently. I was your mother's first sensei. Naruto's mouth formed an O at that. You taught my Kachan? Really? Questioned Naruto as Jiraiya nodded his head with a smile. Yes indeed. Konoha allied with Yuza back in the day, and to show good faith, our Hokage sent me to train a group of select students. Your mother being one, said Jiraiya as he pulled out a picture. The picture showed a young redhead girl holding up the same sword that was now in Naruto's possession. That's your mom, and that's the sword I bought for her upon her becoming a genin and being my only passing student. I'm sure you've noticed how special the sword is. Naruto nodded his head before grabbing the picture of his mom and holding it in front of him. Kachan's pretty. And her hair is beautiful, said Naruto as Jiraiya smiled at that. Kushina was always nervous about her hair even though it looked the same as 95% of her clan. And yeah, the sword is special. It feels like it's attached to your soul? Questioned Jiraiya as Naruto nodded his head. Exactly. Is that why it grows as I grow? Questioned Naruto as Jiraiya nodded his head. That sword got crafted in Tetsu no Kuni, Iron Country, said Jiraiya before adding. The blacksmith who crafted the sword said it was one of kind, just like the head samurai's, and that it'll respond to the will of its wielder. It has Kushina's DNA in it, meaning it'll only respond to her or those who possess her DNA, like her children. That's amazing, said Naruto with a smile before beckoning Jiraiya with a question. Can you tell me a story about my mom? Of course, kid. But don't you want to watch the next match? Maybe scout your opponent. You'll be facing the winner of this next one, said Jiraiya as Naruto shook his head. No, I want to cheer for my teammates, but learning about my mother, they'll understand. Plus, I already have information on the best genin among us. Don't worry, I have this exam in the bag, said Naruto with a very confident aura that Jiraiya couldn't help but smile at. Kid definitely has Kushina-chan's personality, thought Jiraiya before getting comfortable for his recollection of his time spent with Kushina. Kage box, it seems Kumo is finally up, came the voice of the shortest Kage, Anoki, as he sat in between the Raikage and Hokage. Finally get to see what a Kumo genin can do. Yes indeed. Though I wonder how two of my shinobi became pitted against one another in the first round. Said the Reikage Eye, as he looked at Inoki. It doesn't seem fair in all honesty, especially considering it didn't happen to one of you. Inoki just shrugged his shoulders at that. I didn't come up with this exam, and from what Katsuchi said, they picked the numbers randomly from a hat, said Inoki before looking out of the corner of his eye at I. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, I'm afraid. Is that so, Tsukiji Dano? 'Cause it could be reasoned that it was placed like that to keep all of my genin from advancing, said the Reikage as Inoki merely snorted at that. They're better than your run-of-the-mill genin. Both were eliminated first in their matches if I recall. Inoki looked back at I, who simply smiled before turning back toward the arena floor with a triumphant smirk. The Hokage noticed the conversation between the two and could feel the tension building. It seems all this talking from earlier does not change that we are not far enough out of the Third World War. We may act amicable to one another, but one sign of aggression, and it seems all bets could be off. Let's hope this final goes smoothly. It seems the match is starting, said Hiruzen as Katsuchi's voice sounded out loudly in the arena floor. Match 3 of the Chunin exam finals, said Katsuchi before pointing his hand to each contestant as he said their names. Omoi from Kumogakure. Chojuro from Kirigakure. Samui from Kumogakure. Are you all ready? A quick nod from the Kumogakure genin and a shaky one from the Kirigakure genin was all Katsuchi needed before he swung his hand down. Hajime. Continuing the trend of each match being different, this match started off with the three pulling out their swords and staring at one another. Chojuro then felt his anxiety build up when Omoi and Samui both looked at him. Naruto said this would happen, thought Chojuro as Samui and Omoi began to stalk toward him in a way that put them on either side of him. Why didn't I learn how to do the Kirigakure no Jutsu, hidden miss technique? That would really help now. Chojuro gripped his sword a little tighter just as Samui and Omoi headed toward him. Chojuro's broadsword blocked Omo's sword slash and a quickly whipped out kunai blocked Samui's tanto strike. The three began a struggle for dominance that surprised many to see Chojuro actually winning. Damn. Dude's strong, thought Omoi, receiving the worst of it due to getting the heavy broadsword and not a kunai. Omoi then disengaged from Chojuro as his heavy sword landed in the ground with a thud. Chojuro then looked toward Samui, who noticed Omoi back off. He's going to swing that thing at me. I have to stop him, thought Samui before channeling chakra into her tanto. Samui's guess proved right as Chojuro slugged his sword right around to the other side that Samui was on in an effort to cleave her in two. Samui pressed harder into Chojuro's kunai, surprising him that she didn't try to jump out of the way even though she'd still be hit by the large sword. Samui's tanto burst with lightning chakra as it ripped through Chojuro's kunai with ease before she shoved her tanto easily into Chojuro's shoulder, the same shoulder of the arm that was swinging his sword. Chojuro felt the paralyzing effect of the lightning sword in his shoulder as his sword stopped moving because of it. Samui grew relieved internally at catching Chojuro before noticing his other arm was coming at her with a fist. Chojuro's fist hit Samui's chest as it sent the Kumo girl skidding backwards from the powerful strike, taking her tanto with her and out of Chojuro's shoulder. Wow. That looked like it hurt, thought Omoi, seeing Chojuro hold the cauterized wound in his shoulder, and Samui hold her chest. A sword puncture is a sword puncture, but a punch to the chest. Ouch. Maybe if Samui had bigger breasts, they could have repelled the punch, and she'd be safe. And, Karui's loud voice from the finalist box cut off Omo's thought process, as he snapped back to the fight. Omoi. Stop thinking and start fighting, shouted Karui as Omo snapped out of his thoughts. Omo nodded his head before cocking his sword back like a baseball bat and running behind. Chojuro heard Karui and without turning around, just simply picked his broadsword up to cover his side. Kumoryu Mikazukajiri, cloud-style crescent moon beheading, said Omo as he swung his sword in an arc toward Chojuro. A crescent moon arc formed in front of Omo that hit Chojuro's sword mid-swing and sent him head over heels sideways several feet before skidding to a stop near the water. Chojuro stood up quickly only to notice both Samui and Omoi heading back to him once again. I can't step back into the water because she'll likely just shock me if I do, thought Chojuro, going through a few hand seals as Samui and Omoi got closer. This sucks. I can at least take out one of them though. Samui and Omo lunged at Chojuro again as this time Chojuro blocked Samui's tanto with his broadsword while dodging Omo's sword strike. Omoi continued though until Chojuro grabbed his arm over his sleeve. Samui noticed that in Chojuro's attempt at blocking both of them again, his foot slid into the river below. Samui just smiled before backing up and running through 4 hand seals, ending in the ram seal. Right on, Pansa, lightning style, panther, said Samui as from her hands sparked with lightning before it turned into the shape of a panther and jumped into the water. Chojuro just smiled as his own technique took hold. Suetun, Suiro no Jutsu, water style, water prison technique, said Chojuro as Samui looked over to see Omoi trapped in a ball of water with Chojuro's hand connected inside. So engrossed with Chojuro's foot in the water, she didn't even realize her teammate was getting surrounded by the dense ball of water. Samui just watched as the lightning panther made contact with the water and the lightning surged up the water into Chojuro and then into the ball of water Omo was in, shocking him as well. A few seconds later, Chojuro's water ball dispersed as Omoi laid flat on the ground soaking wet and unconscious. Chojuro just smiled right before passing out as well. Samui stood there alone as Kitsuchi just nodded his head at the results. Due to double elimination. Winner of match 3, Samui of Kumogakure, said Kitsuchi as the audience cheered at how she eliminated 2 opponents at once, not realizing it was a mistake on her part. Nonetheless, Samui just gave a small smile before exiting the arena back to the finalist box. Several medics came later to scoop up the other finalists before the start of the 4th match. Kagebox, that boy. Knew he was going to lose no matter what and still managed to take one out with him, said I, growing more and more impressed with the Kiri Genin team, despite 2 of them losing already. Kiri. Konoha. Kumo. Seems IWA doesn't have anyone advance yet. Anoki looked toward the bulky Kage as he said nothing at the large man's statement. We'll see how much you talk when Han fights. Then you'll see, and everyone in the nations will know IWA is top among the 5 great villages. Thought Anoki before turning his head back toward the fights below. Kumogakure and Iwagakure allied in the last war, and yet their Kages are bickering at the moment. Thought Hiruzen, feeling slightly awkward in the Kage box now. I'll just keep quiet for now. It's not worth attempting to mediate this quarrel. Anoki then shifted his eyes over to the stoic Hiruzen. It seems he's become quiet due to me and I at the moment, thought Anoki before looking down at the arena floor, seeing Han land in the floor. And with that other Uchiha boy in there, Han is certain to severely hurt him and the Kumo girl. This should be fun. Finalist box. Samui returned to the finalist box as she looked around, not noticing Naruto in the room. Where did he go? Questioned Samui in her head. Amiri shared that same sentiment, having been looking for her teammate for the past few minutes, since regaining consciousness. Is pretty boy in trouble? Questioned Amiri in her head as she looked around the arena if he may have noticed someone in the stands. He wouldn't just leave like that, would he? Plus I'm sure he'd want to see the other matches. Where could he be? Amiri didn't have time to look around anymore before hearing Kitsuchi's voice and focusing on the next match despite no longer being in the exams. Arena floor. Match 4 of the Chunin exam finals. Said Kitsuchi, taking heed at announcing IWA last. Shursui Uchiha from Konohagakure. Karui from Kumogakure. And Han from Iwagakure. Cheers rang out again from the crowd at another genin from their host village being announced. In the momentary cheer, Kitsuchi received word from the 3 competitors that they were ready. Swinging his hand down, Kitsuchi began the match. Hajime, said Kitsuchi, backing up, giving the genin room. Shursui flashed his Sharingan as he vanished in a shunshin toward the redhead from Kumogakure. Shursui appeared next to the still Kunoichi as he whipped out a kunai aimed for her arm. Karui, however, was ready for the quick movement, already unsheathing her sword to block the kunai. Sparks flew from the metal, clashing with metal as the 2 struggled for dominance. Karui used both hands against Shursui's kunai, only for the Uchiha to drag his kunai down Karui's sword. Sparks fluttered in front of the 2 as it distracted Karui. In that distraction, Shursui vanished in another shunshin just as the large IWA boy rocketed toward Karui. Karui jumped out of the way of the large boy as he sped past her before skidding to a stop and turning around. Steam fluttered off the still quiet boy as Shursui's Sharingan looked at the chakra being emanated by Han. Nin Taijutsu user thought Shursui as more steam came off Han's back. Using steam ninjutsu to bolster his taijutsu. And based on his size, I'm sure one punch will be devastating. Han looked at Shursui as he prepped another charge. Shursui locked eyes with the large boy as he placed him under a genjutsu. Seconds later, Shursui jumped slightly as the large boy came speeding at him. Shursui jumped to the side as Han flew past him, kicking up a mighty wind with the speed he was traveling at. Shursui stood back up as he turned to see Karui on him with her sword, dodging 2 overhead strikes from the Kumo Kunoichi. The 2 then separated from one another as Han came back, flying past them even faster than before. Shursui had enough of the large IWA boy and went through several hand seals for his next charge. Even more steam floated from Han's back as he turned sharply and flew back toward Shursui. Shursui's Sharingan picked up the movement easily as his chest puffed up. Katan, Hozenka no Jutsu, Fire Style, Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu, said Shursui as he expelled a volley of small fireballs at the speeding IWA boy. Due to the boy's speed, the fireballs hit him quickly as he shoulder bumped the Uchiha boy. Shursui went flying due to the shoulder hit, and went careening, luckily, into the water basin rather than the stony arena floor. Han stopped moving forward as the pain from Shursui's jutsu hit him hard, especially due to the shuriken hidden within the fireballs. Han screamed loudly as he began to pick the several hot shuriken out of his body before tossing them down. Pulling the last kunai out of his body, Han turned to see Karui right on him with her sword closing in on his chest. Han was faster though as he gripped Karui's sword with his large hand. Karui grew surprised at him holding her sword as blood seeped from his hand. A huge burst of steam blew from Han's back as Karui felt the air around her heat up as if she was in a sauna. Futon, Kairiki Muso, boil release, unrivaled strength, thought Han as Karui had no time to react to the punch that planted itself into her stomach. Spit flew from Karui's mouth as she went careening into the wall, leaving a Karui-sized crack in it. Karui was out cold the moment she hit the wall. Karui of Kumogakure. Eliminated, said Kitsuchi as Han turned to see Shursui standing up from the stream of water that ran through the arena. Steam fluttered from Han's back again as he stared down the Uchiha. His chakra levels are monstrous. The chakra coming out of that steam on his back is incredible, thought Shursui before placing his hands in the ram seal. If this works, thank you Naruto Hozuki. Megan, Nija Kokoni Erase no Jutsu, demonic illusion, double false surroundings technique, thought Shursui utilizing the jutsu he copied from Naruto. The same jinjutsu he used against Enko to win his match. Shursui smiled to himself, feeling Han release himself from the first layer of the genjutsu, but not the second. Shursui then watched as Han sped and crashed directly into the wall 4 feet from him with a thundering boom. The entire arena shook at the force of Han hitting the wall before Shursui ran through several hand seals with practiced ease as he jumped directly in front of where Han landed. Katan, Nigokakyu no Jutsu, fire style, double grand fireball technique, said Shursui before expelling out a large fireball that an equally as big fireball followed behind it. The first fireball smashed into Han in the wall before the next one smashed into the first fireball, as they exploded on contact. Fire covered the side of the wall that Han was in as Shursui stared at the blazing fire with his Sharingan active. Shursui's eyes widened as Han came stepping out of the fire with large burn marks on his body that didn't seem to affect him in the slightest. Steam burst again from Han's back as he ready to attack Shursui once more. Heh. I'm out of chakra, said Shursui as he raised his hand. I give up. Han was just about ready to rocket toward Shursui before hearing his words. Kitsuchi looked at the forfeiture by the Uchiha boy and while disappointed that he didn't continue fighting, understood the kid's predicament. Kid's not really out of chakra but he realizes that he'll eventually be, thought Kitsuchi declaring Han the winner as he watched Shursui walk out of the arena and Han simply jump out. If the kid had the chakra, I wonder if he could have gone toe-to-toe with Han. That double fireball would have hurt, or even killed lesser shinobi. Kitsuchi then looked toward the crowd. We will have a 30-minute intermission before we begin the semifinals, said Kitsuchi as several IWA shinobi appeared in the arena to try to fix it before the semifinals began. The first match will pit Naruto Hozuki of Kirigakure versus Samui of Kumogakure. The second match will pit Itachi Uchiha of Konoha versus Han of Iwagakure. Until that time, Kagebox, a Jinchuriki. He placed a Jinchuriki in the exams. Thought I turning an eye to Inoki. I guess I should have known. The hosting village normally posts a Jinchuriki if possible to make sure victory. You are a sneaky one old fence-sitter. Han is quite strong, said Inoki with a small smirk as I just looked at him and Hiruzen kept his eyes straight ahead. That Uchiha boy is smart unlike that girl from Kumo, bullheaded in the face of someone stronger than them. I looked ready to kill but toned it down considerably as he kept in mind the ceasefire that occurred during these events. Hiruzen grew tired of the tension and attempted to defuse it with some lighter talk like earlier. It seems each village has a semi-finalist, said Hiruzen as Inoki and I nodded at his words. Neither of the Kage responded to Hiruzen as he realized no more nice words would be minced between them anymore. Well, maybe next Chunin exam, thought Hiruzen as he turned his head to the arena floor. The Kages sat in silence as they awaited the semifinals. Finalist box. Pretty boy. There you are. Where have you been? Questioned Amiri loudly as she noticed her white-haired teammate walk into the finalist box. After her exclamation, Amiri noticed the smile adorning his face. Why are you so happy? Naruto walked up to Amiri before whispering in her ear. Amiri blushed at Naruto's touch and closeness before smiling at what he said. Yoremo started Amiri only for Naruto's hand to clamp her mouth shut as he made a shushing noise. Naruto noticed Amiri calm down as he let his hand go from her mouth. I know right. I'll tell you all about her later, said Naruto with a grin as he then looked around. Where's Chojuro? Oh. You missed the fights, said Amiri as Naruto smiled sheepishly causing Amiri to smile. It's okay. After your match, Itachi from Konoha handedly defeated me and the other IWA guy. It wasn't even fair, dude is too good. Chojuro fought in the third match and got tag-teamed. He ended up taking out the Kumo boy with him, letting the Samui girl win match 3. And finally, that Han guy just wouldn't go down and won match 4 with overwhelming power and steam. Naruto nodded his head at that. So how much time till I fight again? Questioned Naruto as Amiri looked at her wrist as if she had a watch on. About 25 minutes, said Amiri as Naruto chuckled at his teammate. Let's go check on Chojuro, said Naruto as the two of them walked out of the finalist box down to the medical bay. Amiri talked with Naruto all the way as they went to go see their teammate. Audience, what do you mean Han won't win? Shouted a random guy standing outside a booth. That booth was a betting booth as several others were attempting to place their own bets for the finals. Did you not see how he just shrugged off those fireballs? No other genin can compete with that. Yeah right. That Uchiha boy was beating him and he'll be facing another Uchiha boy, said the guy he was arguing with as he placed his bet on Itachi Uchiha. He can get past one Uchiha, but to get past a second I don't believe it. You're crazy. Han's odds are 5:1 in this event. The next closest to him is the Uchiha boy at 15:1, said the man placing his bet on Han. The man then placed a bet on the Kumo girl as the same man looked at him like he was crazy. What? You always bet on odds. That Kiri kid hasn't done anything to impress me. That Kumo girl took out 2 shinobi with one move. You just don't know anything about these fights, do you? The Kiri kid was clearly holding back his skills for the fights ahead. Said the man, placing a large bet on Naruto, and since he's the underdog for some reason, I'll be looking at a fat payday when this is all said and done. Watching that entire argument was a woman in her late 20s. She wore a large trench coat that covered her body with sunglasses and a scarf on her head. A black-haired woman standing beside her with a pig in her hands whispered into the woman's ear, "Tsunade-sama. Don't gamble on this. You know your luck with these kinds of events," said the black-haired woman as the lady just looked at her. "Shizen. I know what I'm doing," whispered the woman back before she began to walk up to the nearest betting booth with Shizen in tow. Han is 3:1 to win the whole thing, and he's a Jinchuriki. No genin beats a Jinchuriki. Shizen grew shocked at that announcement before noticing a toad out of the corner of her eye. Shizen saw the toad with piece of paper on his head that simply showed a spiral. "Tsunade-sama. Look," whispered Shizen just as Tsunade placed down her bet of $100,000 Rio. Tsunade glanced over at the small animal as her own eyes widened behind her sunglasses. "Ma'am, who are you betting on?" questioned a man as he tried to get the woman's attention. Tsunade watched the toad dispel in a poof of smoke as she then noticed the man snapping in front of her. "Thank you? Who are you placing this bet on? You better be right, pervert. If not, I'll castrate you," thought Tsunade before speaking. "Naruto Hozuki from Kirigakure." The man nodded his head before printing out a stub. "And here you are. 40:1 odds on Naruto Hozuki from Kirigakure winning it all." Tsunade grimaced at the odds but knew that if Jiraiya was wrong, he'd definitely pay her back. Either with money or in some other fashion. Outside the arena, standing just outside of the arena that held the Chunin exams, was a man with a mask on his face. This was the same masked man whom spoke with Yagura about Naruto. Standing beside the masked man was the plant-like man, Zetsu. "It seems Naruto hasn't fully gone all out," said the masked man as Zetsu nodded. "Of course not. I wonder when he will though," said Zetsu before adding. "The only time he's fully shown his skills is when facing Mangetsu or his teammates." The masked man nodded his head. "Indeed. Pain seems to not believe in my choice of him. Even when viewing your recordings of his training," said the masked man before a red glow fluttered past his eye hole. "But I have faith that he'll surprise me further in this exam." "How do you think he could surprise you more?" questioned Zetsu as the masked man grinned behind his mask. "In due time," said the masked man as he began to disappear in a vortex. "In due time. What if Naruto wielder of Samehada Chunin exam? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.